And there we go. And welcome this afternoon to our session on adding video to your Canvas course. Video is one of the most powerful types of content that you can use in an online or a web-enhanced course, whether you're meeting in the face-to-face in the classroom and using the learning management system as a supplement, or you're teaching fully online, as we will be doing in the summer and a lot of the courses in the fall, at least. And video is an extremely rich form of content. Everybody knows the old saying about a picture being worth 1,000 words. Well, a video is roughly 30 pictures a second. So think about how much information that conveys. There's nothing that's more information dense than video, and it tends to be very engaging, particularly if you're in it. Even if you look like me. Your students really want to see and hear from you, and especially the ones who would prefer to be in a classroom with you. Seeing you and hearing you talk and experiencing your presence that way makes a huge difference to them, quite apart from the information that you're imparting. The engagement that you get that way, the rapport that builds, is even if it's a simple short video, is just all out of proportion to the amount of effort it takes to put it in there. So this is an incredibly important content type, and we certainly want to know the ins and outs of sharing video with our students through Canvas. And that's what this session is about. Indeed, this session is more about how to share video with your students than it is about creating video. We have several other sessions that we do about creating video. But today we're going to be looking mainly at acquiring video that you can use safely and legally out on the web and putting that into your course.
Excuse me, Dave, I just wanted to mention,
right ahead.
I had an email from, I don't know, last week, and it said June 2nd, 2 to 4, communication in Canvas.
I know. I'm sorry.
What happened?
This was, the topic was changed early yesterday. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. I missed your first half hour a couple weeks ago, and I saw the rest of it, but I can use a review, so not a problem.
Okay.
I need it. I just got hired. I just got hired.
The problem was we had done communication in Canvas just last week.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And I accidentally scheduled another one. We had to put together our professional development plan in like 2 hours one afternoon for the rest of the year.
I understand. So that's
we got a little loosey-goosey there, and we're cleaning it up as we go along. But
all right. Well, I'm happy to listen.
All righty. And we do have a recent recording of the communication in Canvas session if you want to look at that as well. And I'll show you where to find those. I usually end up doing that at least once or twice during the course of every session.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that. About the lack of timely communication there. Very well. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And we'll get started here. When I know I'm going to be talking about video and perhaps showing video during a Zoom session, when I go to share my screen, I very carefully pick a couple of options that you see in the intermediate dialog box that pops up when you click share screen in Zoom. Not only are you telling Zoom in that box what you're going to share, which we strongly recommend be the full desktop on your monitor so that you don't have to wonder if your students are seeing something or not that you've brought up on the screen. If you share your full desktop, whatever you see on your primary monitor or only monitor, the students will see, and you don't have to worry about that. But there are two options in the lower left-hand corner of that box that pertain to video. One pertains to, one allows you to share your computer's sound. That is, the sound that comes out of your speakers is shared directly through Zoom rather than having to go out through the speakers and in through your microphone.
Have you shared
That
your
makes
screen
for
yet?
much better.
Because I don't see it.
I have not. I have not.
Oh,
I'm
good.
talking
Okay,
about
sorry.
that box right now. So you definitely need to share your computer sound in order for, if you play a video during your session, otherwise your students will not be able to hear the sound on the video adequately, at least. Also, there's an option to optimize screen sharing for the video for video clips. You have to be a little careful about using that one. You don't want to use that one unless you're pretty sure you're going to be showing video, because it can result in other screens other than video screens being shared a little more fuzzily. You may get a little bit lower resolution. But since I know we're going to be working with video today, I'm going to select that option too. But I would appreciate it if you let me know if anything I'm showing you is a little fuzzy on your monitor or something. Let me know and I'll try unchecking that and we'll see if that improves it. But I think it'll be fine. So I've got those two options set, so I'll share my screen now. And here is our seminar outline for today. We've already talked a little bit about why we bother with video. The bulk of what we'll talk about today will be linking video into your Canvas course, how to get video that you find, that either that you have created or that you find out on the web, into your Canvas course so that your students can view it effectively and comfortably, shall we say. I'm also going to talk a little bit about creating your own videos, particularly some super easy ways of doing that. As I said, we have entire sessions on doing that sort of thing. So I'm not going to spend as much time on that as I would in another session, but definitely we'll talk a little bit about that when we get through with the primary focus of this session. So let me bring up Canvas here, and I've got a Canvas shell. Oops, except that's not it. A Canvas shell set up for us to use this, to demonstrate this sort of thing. That's the one I want. And it's just a nearly blank course with a module set up to allow us to demonstrate the inclusion of video in Canvas. So as with any addition of material to a module in Canvas, we'll always go to the plus sign associated with the name of the module, the Add Item button. And there are a couple of different ways we can add video to Canvas, or a couple of different objects we can use in adding video to Canvas. Certainly the simplest is the external URL object or item, a web link. It's just a hyperlink basically to content stored somewhere out on the web, not within Canvas. And indeed, let me address that issue right off the bat, because almost any video you link to in Canvas is going to be stored, we hope, outside of Canvas. Canvas is not designed, we strongly recommend that you do not upload video directly to Canvas for a couple of different reasons. One, Canvas is not designed as a video server, so it doesn't do that good a job of serving video. Students can experience playback issues and compatibility issues trying to play video stored within Canvas. It usually works, but there's some serious negatives to it, aside from the server performance on Canvas. One negative is that Canvas will get, our instructor will get somewhat miffed with us if we allow too much video onto Canvas, because again, Canvas is not really resourced to be a video server. And if our media bandwidth, audio and video, actually coming out of Canvas, it's stored on Canvas, from content stored on Canvas, gets too high, we get a nasty gram from them. So far, we've managed to avoid that, but they have mentioned the possibility more than once in our sessions. So we need to keep the amount of video actually stored on Canvas to a minimum.
Dave, can
Yes.
students submit videos to us? Because that's one of the things we discussed in a communication class about students submitting videos. And some of us said that, won't that fill up the what you're talking about?
No, actually, that's generally not a problem. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you as the instructor loading video into your file space, into your
Okay.
file manager in Canvas. No, it's fine to have students load like video assignments and things like that into Canvas, because those go into for one thing, they go into a different place in Canvas.
Okay.
They do not count against your course file quota. And they are video submitted like that is generally not viewed over and over and over again by multiple users. Usually you will look at it, maybe one or two other students will look at it, and that will be it. And then after that, it will probably never be accessed again. So that's not a problem. I wouldn't hesitate at all. Indeed, I think it's a wonderful idea to have students submitting video to fulfill assignments and so on. It's a great tool, great pedagogy, and I wouldn't want to discourage that in any way. Trying to raising my voice, and so I'm trying to really not discourage that. I think it's a wonderful idea. But on the other hand, putting video files into your course that are going to be viewed by all of your students, maybe multiple times, causes much more problem. That's one of the reasons why the file space that you have available to you in your Canvas shells is limited. I'm not sure what they bumped it up to now. I had heard either a gigabyte or 2 gigabytes maybe being the minimum, but that's not enough for a lot of video. Video adds up in a hurry. And that's deliberate because we don't want that video on there. But probably the main reason, the main drawback to putting video directly on Canvas is that that video is almost universally not captioned. Canvas, not being designed as a video server, doesn't really have any way to marry up caption files with videos. And the players that, if you just upload a naked video file to Canvas, it's very unlikely to be. The only way it's going to be captioned is if the captions have been burned into the video, and so they can't be turned off, so-called open captions. And that can be done, but that means that students who don't want the captions can't turn them off, and they can be distracting. Though I have a limited, I will say I have a limited amount of sympathy for the idea that captions are distracting. In fact, they generally make for a richer understanding of what's going on, because you're getting the content through multiple communication channels, almost subliminally. I find that, well, I have some, at my age, obviously, I have some hearing issues. I don't watch anything willingly anymore in the way of video that doesn't have the captions turned on, because I've gotten to the point where I depend on them. I can't watch a movie, an old movie, that doesn't have captions on it anymore. Not just because of my hearing, but because I've learned to depend on them cognitively. And I get a much richer experience that way. And they're especially, of course, also handy for students whose first language is not English, assuming the video language is in English. So captions are required legally, morally, by district policy, state law, federal law. They got to be there.
Does TED
And
Talks have automatic caption? TED Talks?
they do. TED Talks have near perfect captions. So that's one of the criteria you're going to use when you're going out on the web and looking for video that you can use in your course. Is it accessible? Is it captioned? And yes, TED Talks are all. And almost any video that is on YouTube is captioned, unless it doesn't have any dialogue or any speech, in which case, of course, it doesn't have to be. But you know, all too often video that is uploaded directly to Canvas is not captioned, and that's something we can't really countenance. So that's why we prefer that you use video that's stored elsewhere. There are these massive repositories of video out on the web that you can use freely that are copyright cleared, or at least you don't have to worry about if somebody at YouTube is violating copyright, you're not going to be liable for it. And same with the TED Talks and everything else. Those are all free and public to use and very instructional. And we have other legal repositories of video that we'll talk about here in a little bit that you can use freely in your courses and not have to worry about copyright issues. So probably the easiest way to give students access to an online video in Canvas is this external URL item that you can add to directly to your module. And to do that, all you need really is the URL, the web link of the video. And where will you find that? Well, as we've already started to discuss, there are massive repositories of video out there with instructional value. Probably the biggest single, certainly the biggest single one is YouTube. And yes, there's a lot of frivolous stuff on YouTube. Not very much that anyone would consider obscene, at least. Google works very hard to avoid it turning into that sort of thing. But while a lot of it is frivolous, so much of it is high quality instructional content from places as prestigious as Berkeley and MIT, Harvard, things like that. So most of the TED Talks, while they're also on the TED website, are also on YouTube. So it's a tremendous resource, and one we'll look into a little more here in a minute. The TED Talks are the TED website is a great resource as well. And particularly in that these are short, very digestible videos given by impressive speakers, many of them world's experts in their fields. So that's always a great place to look. Indeed, we've tried to collate or collect a few of these things for you. Let me pull up another Canvas window here. In an open educational resources website that we have that hopefully all of you have access to. You should see this tile on your desktop. If you don't, I'd appreciate it if you sent me an email and letting me know. I'll put you in there. We try to keep up with, as new faculty come in, we try to keep up with them, but we're not always 100% successful. So if you don't see this open educational resources course on your dashboard, I'd appreciate you letting me know, and I'll fix that. But within that, there's a lot of free content in there. More than anything else, it's free textbooks, open textbooks in just about every field. But there's also this more limited area here on video repositories where you can get instructional video to use in your courses that's high quality generally, or can be, and freely available. And we've pretty much mentioned TED Talks already and YouTube. Vimeo is the the slightly higher class YouTube. The video quality is very high on Vimeo. That is the sharpness of the images and the sound and so on. And there's a lot of instructional content available on Vimeo for free. It costs money to post video on Vimeo, so it tends to be a little different level of video there. For many subjects, especially mathematics and science, the Khan Academy is the archetypal free instructional video site on the web. Salman Khan was a stockbroker who, and but also a math major, who started making 15-20 years ago started making instructional math videos for his little nieces and posting them on YouTube publicly. The next thing you knew, everybody in the world was using those videos. He was a pioneer in this. He was doing basically screencasting, or what we call broadcasting, actually writing out math problems on a screen and recording the results with him talking about it. And that's grown into a massive website that has videos on an amazing variety of subjects, and it's all free to use, and it's all quite high quality. So that's a great place to look. And somewhat more modestly, we have our own little open on-demand website at the district that has gone through a number of folks over the years. Katie Palacios and I put this up 10 years ago, I guess, but we're still maintaining it, and it is available at sdccdolvid.org. I'm going to put that in the chat tool. Remember, you can save that chat tool. That's at the bottom of the chat tool, the link. Or you can just type in sdccdolvid.org, O-R-G, SDCCD online video. And we've got a variety of folks and video tutorials on here, mostly screencast videos, which are screen recordings, like what we're doing in Zoom right now. And Katie and I did a lot of them, but there are other folks in there as well. And we're trying to keep that, we're trying to refresh that now. When Katie moved from Online Learning Pathways over to Mesa, and I retired, this went through a period of sort of stasis, but now we're actively adding stuff to it. Notably, our workshops recordings like this one appear on this site. There's a link at the top of in the top menu bar here for workshop archives. If you click on that, you'll see all of our workshop recordings in there. And we try to put them all up there, as long as I remember to hit record when I do mine. Not every one of mine is up there for that reason, but we do try to keep that up. And that means there are multiple copies of most of the topics that we do up there. So feel free to browse that at any time. Also, you can search the site by keyword, or there are academic videos on different within different academic disciplines. Some of those are a little elderly at this point. And we've got LMS tutorials for Canvas, a general Canvas group. And there's for people who are just getting started with Canvas, there is a series of very quick, simple tutorials averaging about 7 minutes each that will give you the basics of using Canvas in a hurry. We made that up when we had to transition people to Canvas in 2 weeks earlier this year. So you can search for, if you want to see all of our tutorials that have something to do with, say, Zoom, you can just search for Zoom and there are 4 pages and about a dozen tutorials a page on Zoom, going back to 2016. So this is another place, and these are of course freely available for use wherever you might need them. So all we have to do to put a link to a video on any of these sites into a module in Canvas is to create an external URL. And let's just pull up a YouTube, pull up YouTube here. And there's no subject, literally, that won't have some videos associated pertaining to it on YouTube. Somebody give me a subject area, if you would.
Ceramics.
Pardon?
Ceramics.
Ceramics. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's see, it doesn't tell you how many hits because the number of hits is just astronomical on anything you put in there. There are thousands of videos, maybe millions uploaded to YouTube every day, and not all of them are any good. So it's a massive curation nightmare for anybody. But on the other hand, you can usually get a pretty good, quick idea of whether a video is useful or not after you've seen a few of them. And here we go. There are, if I keep scrolling down, I could scroll down for the rest of the day probably. And all of these are ceramics videos. So usually you want to be, if you have a specific issue in mind, or a specific topic in mind, make it put in as many keywords as you can to cut down the number. But as with any Google product, the most commonly accessed videos will be at the top. So you're more likely to find good ones up near the top than at the bottom, at least according to the knowledge of the crowd anyway. So there they are. They're just thousands of them. So let's say here's basics of using a potter's wheel. Okay. Don't know, I have no knowledge of this topic, so I'll have no way to evaluate this video, but let's just say on the off chance that this is one you'd like to use. Well, you can just click on the title of it, and that will bring up the public YouTube page for it. We can see that, well, this person has 7,000 subscribers, and probably there's some interest in this. That tells you. 339 comments is a lot of comments, though the comments are not necessarily useful, but it just tells you a lot of people have looked at it. It has 7,000 likes and 450 dislikes. Pretty good ratio. So these are just things you can use in YouTube to give yourself a rough idea. And it's had almost 2 million views since December of 2009. So it's been up there a long time. People are still watching it. So these are all factors that kind of indicate to you that maybe this video is not total bupkis.
If you are teaching a Zoom class and using a video.
Oops, I'm sorry. I accidentally muted you there. Please unmute yourself and go again.
Okay. If you are showing the video in a Zoom class like
Yes.
this, can you record it without the sound and you speak yourself and explain what you're watching on the video?
Yeah, sure. You could do that. You
Okay.
have each YouTube video has a little volume control associated with it.
Okay.
And if you just turn that volume control all the way down to where you have a slash through the little speaker icon there, then there will be no video and you can talk over it. And if you wish, you can, of course, turn the captions on so that the people can see the captions.
But you
while
can,
you're talking, if
yeah.
you wanted to do that.
Yeah.
So you have that option. So yes,
Okay,
that's a
thank you.
perfectly possible thing to do, and a very, very neat trick. So assuming we have decided we want to use this video on YouTube, all we have to do is go to the share URL, the share button, I should say, just below and to the right of the video. It'll always be right here. If you click on that, the link to the video, the URL, the Uniform Resource Locator, or the web address of the video, will be right here. And you can just click the copy button in this box, and that copies it to your clipboard on PC or Mac. Then you can go back to Canvas and you can paste that URL into this URL box here in the external URL object we're creating. Then I do have to give this a name, simply to give students an idea of what's in there and why they should click on it, and to give them something to click on. In this case, basic throwing, or whatever. It's generally a good idea when you're linking to a video also to load the video, the display of the video, in a new tab. That allows it to display full screen without having to share the screen with the Canvas menus and stuff like that. Gives the students a little bit more flexibility in how big they want to make the video when they're looking at it, and they have control over that. So I'll load that in a new tab, and I'll add the item. And that's simple, quick, and very effective, because the student can then just come in and click on that link and OK, and opening a new window, a new tab shows up. They can get right back to Canvas when they're ready, and the video starts to play.
Mr. Giberson, can I ask a question?
You certainly may.
I was just going to comment that I have quite a few of my students that use cell phones instead of their computers. Would it be better to not open in a new tab so they don't have to figure out how to go to a new tab?
No, all they have to do is tap on the screen where it says open a new tab, and then they can easily get back to this.
Okay.
And video generally will play very effectively on a mobile device. It's more effective in many cases than large text documents, which can be challenging or kind of tiring to read on a small screen, whereas video, they're probably used to watching video on that small screen anyway. And generally, they can zoom in and make the portion of the video they're interested in larger on the mobile device more easily than it can even on the computer, and then use their finger to move the window that they're looking through around to see different parts of the video. So this is very effective in cases where students.
Dave, sorry, I got it about loading a new tab, but then after that, I got lost how you pushed it into the module.
Oh, it was put into the module by creating an external URL. That's how I got here.
Just automatically?
The link in the module.
Okay, so it automatically went to the module?
Right. When I started out in the module, and I created the external URL in the module.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
So
that's why.
that's a one-stop shop, one location process. You don't have to go anywhere else to get that link in there because you created it in the module.
Okay. I see.
And when I want to get back to the module, all I have to do is go back to that tab, and I'm still on the screen where I had to open a new window. That's a minor issue, but I can get back to the modules by clicking the word modules in the breadcrumbs up here, or going to the modules link in the course menu, and I'm right back. So students don't get out. If you open things in a new tab, it's much easier for them to get back to where they were in Canvas than if the video took over their Canvas screen. And as with most video players, YouTube has options to control the size of the display of the video. Indeed, YouTube has a couple of different modes. That one that gives you a bigger one, this so-called theater mode here, or this icon in the far lower right corner, the interrupted square, will give you full screen. And of course, some YouTube videos look better in full screen mode than others, depending on the resolution that they've been uploaded at. And very often, the person playing the video can control the sharpness of the video by clicking on this little gear icon in the YouTube player bar. They can adjust the quality of the video. This one is playing automatically at 480p, which was the resolution for Super VHS. I can remember 25 years ago when I first saw Super VHS, and it seemed so clear, but we can do a lot better than that these days. And you can change that, probably. Yeah, this one, well, nope, this video was uploaded at that resolution, so you can't get it any better. But very often you can go all the way up to 1080p at least, or even 4K on YouTube videos and get extreme sharpness. This one was uploaded in 2009, it looks like, so that's why it's a limit. But the person viewing it can try that. And similarly, if they are, say they're operating on a minimal internet connection, and the video keeps buffering on them when they try to play it on, say, their smartphone. It stops and starts and stops and starts as the video downloads, and it plays a little more of it. If it's doing that, they can reduce the quality of the playback. And very often it's still acceptable, but it plays much more smoothly for them. So that's an important thing for people who are watching videos on YouTube to know, is that they can adjust the quality and thus the bandwidth requirement of the video.
Where do you adjust the quality? I was trying to see.
It is right here on the little gear. Let me lower that size a little bit. It's here on this little gear icon. That's if you mouse over it, it says settings.
Really?
And it's in the lower right-hand corner of every YouTube video. And if you click on that, among the things you can turn captions on and off here. You can play the video at super speed if you don't care about the people sounding like Alvin and the Chipmunks. But you can also adjust the quality.
So
Higher
just
the
on the
number,
right-hand
better.
side, you just click on there. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, right there.
Because I was looking at your mouse and it's just going on the hands of the person. That's why I was confused.
Whoop. And now you're seeing it right here, right?
No, that's his knee. I see your mouse.
No.
I see settings, though.
Are you not seeing my mouse point at that little geared wheel?
No, for some reason it's pointing
I
to
can
the
see it. I can see it, Dave. Maybe it's
Everyone's
your
computer
device
is
is
structured
using.
differently because I saw it originally and then it went away.
I could still see it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I saw it earlier.
Well,
but it's not-
that can, yeah, that sort of thing can happen in a Zoom screen share. That's why I was asking. But you
So
do see that little geared wheel down
I
there.
can see it.
That's where you go.
I see the gear, yeah.
I do too.
All right.
And above
So,
that,
and-
the settings, yeah.
And so if you put up a video, for instance, that is a little challenging in terms of resolution, like it's a screencast with some very small print in it, you may want to warn your students, well, this is on YouTube, and I don't know you can't control their default YouTube settings in their account. So you may say, well, you may want to go to that gear wheel and set the quality to the highest value that your internet connection will allow. If it starts buffering, you back off, but you want it as clear as possible when there's fine print in a screencast, and that can make a huge difference as to what people can actually see and appreciate about a video. So that's an important little tool in YouTube playback, and one that you have no control over as the author of the video or as the user, as the person who puts it into Canvas. every viewer has to set their own resolution.
Dave?
Usually the defaults are fine, but sometimes not. Yes.
All right. I know that if we use TED Talks, if we use YouTube, the closed caption's done for us, but
Right.
one of the advantages of using the videos on demand through Mesa is that they do have the citations, like the bibliographical citations done for us. Is there a
Right.
trick, or how do you cite YouTube and TED Talks?
Oh, that's a fascinating question. And my answer to that would be, I don't know, but let's find out. You know, there's someone who does.
We're English majors.
Citing YouTube videos. Well, there's a YouTube video for that. And Lib Answers has one. Citation Machine, EasyBib.
Okay.
I wouldn't know. Here's MLA and APA.
Okay, good.
Remember, Dr. Google knows all, and usually will tell. Great question. Never had that before, and that's a very necessary thing to know when you're using, particularly if you're, if you're doing a writing assignment in an electronic format, as most people are going to do these days, and submitting it that way, rather than having to print it out on paper, you're submitting it to a Canvas homework assignment. There's no reason that that Word document or whatever, PDF or whatever, can't have video links or embedded video in it. In which case, if it's a scholarly assignment and you're requiring a bibliography, there needs to be a way to cite that, and apparently that's been covered. Somebody's thought of that at MLA and APA, so the information should be there. Cool. That's new ground. I don't think we've ever talked about that in this session before. Thank you. So that's a simple way to do that, and you could do that to put a video in, and it really doesn't matter where that video is. This could just as easily have been a TED Talk. Let's go find a TED Talk. Just to make sure everybody knows what that is, TED.com. Oh gosh, technology, entertainment, and what? Can't remember what the D is. It's these started out as this very high level meeting that was held in Switzerland every year, I think, where people who were world's experts on various topics would come and give a brief, nominally 18-minute speech on something with visual aids and so on. But mainly, just the person talking to a small group of attendees. And these things are incredibly high quality, and they're available in almost any subject. And this, of course, has become worldwide. There are TED meetings worldwide now. In just about every city in the country has a TED gathering from time to time. And they're all, or the vast majority of them, are collated on this website at TED.com. The vast majority of them are also on YouTube, so you can access them there as well. But here, we've got all of these possible subjects here, but you can also search TED Talks. I wonder, we were having a look with ceramics before. Woo! Oh my goodness. Just a few. Pretty poison.
Lifelong learner, that looks interesting.
Lifelong, there we go. The lifelong, Bernie Dunlap, the lifelong learner. Okay. So let's say we'd like to use this one. And again, these are publicly accessible videos. If you can go to a website and click on it and watch it without having to log in or pay, you're safe using it in your course. There may be some quibbles that, you know, if you get way deep down in the weeds on copyright law or something, there might be some minor quibbles, but you're not going to get into any serious trouble doing this. I don't know what those quibbles might be, but I'm not a copyright lawyer either. And nothing I ever say should be, you should never forget that listening to anything I say about this. But how can we use this? Well, there's a share button on each TED Talk, just video, just as there was on YouTube. It's in a different place, but it uses the same terminology. And here's your link, and it's very similar. You just copy the link to your clipboard, go to Canvas, paste that into the URL box, TED video on, oops, I know it's painful having to watch me type, TED video on lifelong learning. Again, probably better to load it in a new tab, add the item, and publish it so that your students can see it. And they click on the link and boom, and open a new window, and boom, there's the TED Talk. And they go right to the TED website where there's all this other fascinating, these other fascinating videos over on the side that are all high quality and things you might want them to see, even though they can be a little distracting. That's really not a downside to TED. And YouTube and TED are just two of the options. I mean, my God, we talked about the Khan Academy. National Geographic has a massive collection of videos on geography and geology, landforms, things like that, things that they would typically cover. And, you know, there are just hundreds of more public video sites that you can go to. With Google, you can just type any subject phrase and video and get dozens at least of videos on that topic. So you might find these videos anywhere, and almost all of them will have some way to share. Worst case scenario, you just look at the link in the location line on your web browser here, and even though that's a longer URL and less efficient in some ways, it'll work. If you just take that, copy that to your clipboard, and paste that into your external URL box, that'll work. So if the video doesn't have a dedicated share button, you can just use the URL at the top of the page and it should work. Check it, make sure it works, but it should work fine. So there's no real downside to sending students to the to this TED site directly. YouTube, that's not so clear. YouTube is, of course, oops, open a new window, is an advertising supported site. And by default, there are going to be a potload of advertisements all over this. And lots of so-called suggested videos here on the side, many of which may be useful. And then suddenly, all of these appear to be fairly on topic, which is comforting, but you don't go down very far before you start to see random other stuff. If I Had a Boat by John Prine popping up. And this YouTube's interface is designed to be distracting because it's clickbait. Every time somebody clicks on something, somebody else makes money. And Google gets paid something. So it's, while these can be useful, they can be very distracting. and they may not be of the same quality as the video that you selected. You have no control over what pops up over here. So it's generally less desirable to send somebody to YouTube to watch a video there directly. So what do? Is there a way you can avoid those distractions? And most, if not all, of the advertisements that pop up, or suggestions for other videos that pop up on YouTube. And yes, there is a way you can minimize that sort of thing, but not by using an external URL item within a module. In order to pursue this strategy, instead of creating an external URL in our module, what we need to create is a Canvas page. Canvas page being basically a web page that we create on Canvas. It's one of Canvas's three major content types, being files, pages, and external URLs. A file, of course, something you upload from your local computer, like a Word document. A page being a web page that you create in Canvas using the Canvas Rich Content Editor. And a page is a very good vehicle for displaying video in Canvas and giving your students access to video. I'm going to create I'm going to create a new page here. I want to start with a blank one. I'll give it a name. I'm going to call it Video Demo Page. I could call it Fred if I wanted to. And add that item. Now that's a blank page. I can access the edit tools for that page by clicking on the link to it and clicking edit. And now I have the Canvas Rich Content Editor, which is in Rich Content Editor indicates media. It's more than a text editor. You can add media to Canvas pages, notably still images, video, sound, and the like. And that's mainly these tools in the second line of the control bar on the Rich Content Editor, which unfortunately I will tell you is about to change. The new one will have the same basic capability, but it's arranged a little different. It looks different. And we're about to have to start, as soon as it settles down, as soon as the final or more or less final version of it has settled down, we'll start making tutorials for it. It won't be anything that, if you know how to use this one, it won't be difficult for you to switch, but it is going to look different. I'll just give you that warning. But it didn't take very long to adjust to it. It's not that big a deal. So the primary tool that you'll use here to you can link video into a Canvas page just as you linked it into a Canvas module by using this link to URL button here. And I think I still have one of those video URLs on my clipboard, so I'll just paste that into this URL box here and click Insert Link. And oops, I should have typed something there to start with. We'll call this link to, forget that was a TED video. Probably should have typed that first. I have to have an anchor for that hyperlink, something for the student to click on, which can either be some text or a picture, or the typical anchors for a hyperlink. And if I save that, and somebody comes along, clicks on it later, they'll go right to the TED video. And it automatically opens in a new tab in this circumstance. You don't have to tell it to do that. So that's basically the same thing as putting an external URL in your module. So, you know, whether it would be worth adding the extra layer of a page to that is questionable. But in a page, you can do much more interesting things, because you have this insert edit media tool in the second line of the icons in the rich content editor, which if you click on it, gives you a couple of different ways to insert media or embed media here. A video embed is a fancy link to a video stored somewhere else outside Canvas normally. But it looks a lot sexier than that simple hyperlink that we just put in. It usually takes a frame, a single frame from the video, one of those 30 pictures a minute or 30 pictures a second that the video consists of. It takes one of those, and it puts a little play button on it, and it's much more engaging, as we'll see in a second. If you are using a YouTube video, there's two ways to do this video embed. One, you can just, let me go back to YouTube here and pull that share URL again from the share button. Go back to Canvas. I can just stay on the general tab here in the insert edit media box, and I can just paste that URL into the media box. And the proportions, the default display proportions of the video are automatically pulled from YouTube, so you don't have to worry about that. So you can change that. If you'd like a little bigger, you could make this number a little bigger, and this one will change correspondingly to keep the ratio between the two the same, as long as you select constrained proportions, which is the default. Usually you won't worry about these numbers right here. You'll just paste that in to the source box and click OK. And bingo, that's an embed. Let's see what that looks like outside the editor, so it's a little easier to see. That's a lot more engaging to me. It gives the student a much better idea of what the video is about. It's much more likely to draw them into clicking on it. And all they have to do is just click on that and it will play. I've still got the sound turned off.
Smack it in the middle.
Remember that because it knows it's me. And the student can just play it that way. Or if they wish, they can go full screen and play it that way.
And get your hands wet and a good brace.
Excuse me, Dad, is it possible
Yes.
to post a portion of a video instead of the entire video?
Interesting question. You can't play just a portion of a YouTube video, but you can specify where to start. If like the part of the video you want them to view is partway through the video, you can say in the link, you can specify the time at which to start playing the video.
Okay, but we can't edit the amount of video that we want to be on that in that link.
No, you can't. You can't control. You can get them to start at a certain point, but you can't have it stop at a certain point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and to get it to start at a certain point, once you have it up in the embed like this, you can right-click or command-click on the Mac and bring up this menu, and you can copy video URL at current time. And then we can go back in and edit, and we can replace that video URL that we put in here. If we just select that video first, and then go to the Insert Edit Media tool, we can paste that in. And now the video will start playing, should start playing.
First, you want to smack it
Yeah.
in the middle.
Started playing partway into the video. So that's, you have that much control anyway.
Thank you.
The
First, you want to smack it in the middle.
all right. But we're still getting these, the first time we pause the video, we get these suggested videos. So more distraction. This is true on YouTube only, as far as I know. The next time you pause, I don't think it'll do that. No, but when you get to the end of the video, you get more suggested videos, which again can, those, I don't know about you, but those may be more interesting than the next thing I have in the module I want the students to look at. And the student can go down a rabbit hole chasing, you know, some personal interest in video, and the next thing you know, they've been in the rabbit hole for an hour and they haven't gotten their work done in Canvas. So can you avoid that? And the answer is
Dr.
yes, you
Dave?
can. Yes.
While using YouTube, sometimes there is some unacceptable stuff that comes out. How to
Yes.
avoid those things?
That's what I'm about to show you.
Okay.
You can avoid these suggested videos completely.
Yes.
Because indeed, it just so happens that these suggestions happen to be at least not improper.
No, no.
On the other hand, but sometimes they are.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are. Or at least something you don't want yourself associated with. And your students may be unsophisticated. They may not realize that YouTube is doing this. And you're not putting up a picture that they may think it's you putting up that picture of, or that video up there.
Oh,
somebody
no.
wearing a thong who should not wear a thong. So how can you avoid that? And there's a fairly simple way of avoiding it, but it requires you to embed the video in a slightly different way. I'm going to take one of these versions of this video out so I don't have too much going on here. All right, here I've got this version, and I'm going to try to remember that I've got the same, try to get the same video again. And go past the TED video there and get me another place to put a video. The video is embedded at the location of your cursor, your flashing cursor in the editor. So if I want it a little bit below this one, and oh, by the way, with embedded video like this, you can also, oops, I need to do that. You can also center or right justify the video if you so desire.
Because also sometimes when you are showing, when I am showing a dance, a traditional dance, and there's some even words that not acceptable coming on the screen. So.
Well, you do have to curate these videos a bit. You do have to watch them. And I don't know why that one's being difficult with me. I think, oh, because I've got my, there we go.
How do you write, what did you say? Put it to the right or something?
And that's not working. That, oh, I know why. It's because I put it in the way I did. So what I showed you before was the simple way of embedding a video by just pasting the URL for the video into this source box. But there is a slightly more complicated way of doing it that gives you more control over the positioning of the video in the page, and of the potentially of whether or not you see suggested videos after it plays or while it's playing if you pause it. To do that, you go to the Insert Edit Media tool again, and instead of choosing the General tab here, you go to the Embed tab.
Oh.
And you're asked for something called an embed code. Now, you won't be able to get an embed code for all of the videos that are out on the web that you might want to use. So this is not always possible, but you can always get an embed code for videos that are stored on YouTube, or TED also has embed codes created for you. And Canvas will accept those. So how do you get an embed code, so-called, for a YouTube video? Well, you go to the video page, and I don't want all those. And you go to the share button for the video. Once again, the same place we got that share URL to start with. But there's also some other codes here, codes for Facebook, sharing this on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, Tumblr, and so on, and more. But what we're really interested in is just the vanilla embed code, which we can get from this embed option here, just by clicking on it. And this snippet of HTML code is called an embed code. That's what you need. You don't have to understand anything about how it works. You just have to know if you click the copy button down here, that will be copied to your clipboard. Then we go back to Canvas.
And that's not illegal.
No. That's provided for that. YouTube provides you that for this purpose.
Okay.
That is definitely not illegal. Nothing you can get freely off of YouTube would be illegal.
Okay.
Questionable taste is always possible, but illegal, no. So, as you pointed out. But if I now paste that embed code in and click OK, now I've got an embed. It doesn't look that much different. But now I can do things like center it or right justify it. It's more flexible.
Wow.
You have some control over where it appears. And if you use tables, I'm not going to get into web editing here. You can use tables to control exactly where the video goes, but that's a much more involved process and usually not necessary unless you're really artistic or obsessed.
How long to become an expert like you?
Hopefully you can become a much more knowledgeable about this than I am.
I don't think so.
I've been piddling with this for 30 years, but
oh my God! Okay, after I
would not consider myself an expert in any terms, but I know how to make use of what I need and what I need to communicate with students.
Humble.
So it doesn't take very long to get to the point to learn what you need and what works for you. So it is not, and most of this stuff, remember, this is all designed to be used by the general public. You don't have to be a video professional, which I am certainly not, to use this kind of stuff. It's designed to be used by folks with particularly with far less education and intelligence than this group has, and be used successfully. So it's not difficult. The trick, of course, is figuring out what to use and how to design your instructional materials and so on to go with it. But the nuts and bolts of putting video into your Canvas course, I think you're seeing, are pretty simple. So, okay, this one is a little bit better, but I'm still getting the suggested videos, though I will point out to you, and I should have pointed this out before, that when you embed the video here absent the suggested videos that pop up when you pause or when you get to the end of the video, the students are not seeing all those suggested videos over here to the side like they would if you sent them directly to the YouTube website.
Oh, okay.
So they're not being distracted by that while the video is playing anyway. So you've already cut out a lot of the advertisements and distractions on the YouTube website just by embedding the video.
Yes.
But there's one more step, one more tactic you can use to even further minimize distraction and get rid of these suggested videos popping up. You do that by the same process. You go to the Insert Edit Media tool, you go to the Embed tab, and you paste the embed code into the in this box provided for it, but you have to make one tiny modification to this code. And at this point it gets you, oh my God, what if I break it? Well, if you break it, you just delete it and start again. It's no big deal. You're not going to hurt anything. The universe as you know it is not going to explode at the speed of light because you typed the wrong thing into an embed code, so don't worry about it. But here, if you look closely at the embed code, here is the URL for the video right there. HTTPS, that hypertext transfer protocol, that starts any URL. And then it ends here with this quote, just inside this quotation mark. If you go right to the end of the URL and add something to it, notably, question mark, and there's no rhyme or reason. Don't worry about how or why this works. This is just do this, you know, stand on your right foot, look to the east and spit, and it will work. Question mark, lowercase, R-E-L, an equal sign, and a 0, not a letter O, a 0. If you add that, and I'll put that into the chat tool, question mark REL equals 0 is the control code for suppressing suggested videos in YouTube.
That belongs on a t-shirt.
Yes.
I like that. Oh, I like that. All right. And okay.
Ooh, nice.
There it is right there.
That's an equation.
So there's nothing to, it takes no time at all. Once you know how to do this, it takes no time at all to add that in. You click OK. And now watch what happens when we play this video.
Oh.
Okay, it's playing. And watch when I pause it, no suggested videos pop up.
Wow.
When I go to the end,
no more. Okay.
it just takes you back to the embed, no suggested videos. There is a theoretical possibility, actually, of a suggested video popping up, according to some references I've seen on this. But if it pops up, it's going to be one of yours. So at least it'd be one of your videos instead of just one that's randomly picked off of YouTube according to subject. So here you have come as close as you can to eliminating distractions and advertisements that your students would otherwise have to deal with on YouTube. And this is the most commonly cited reason I've seen for not using YouTube videos from faculty. They say, well, yeah, the video's good, it's useful, but there's so much other crap around it. I don't want my students exposed to that, or I don't want them distracted by that.
Yes.
This eliminates the vast majority of that. There's one thing that this will not eliminate. Some videos have been monetized by their creators, and there'll be a little advertising segment up front. You've probably all seen that in YouTube videos, where you know, usually you can skip it after 5 seconds or something like that. This will not block those, unfortunately. I don't know of any way to get rid of those. The good thing about those is, though, that it only shows the first time somebody plays the video. If the same person plays the video a second time, that lead-in generally does not appear. And usually within 4 or 5 seconds, the student can skip that anyway. So that's, you know, that can be that's less than desirable, but it's certainly not enough of a reason. And most, you know, only a relatively small number of YouTube videos have that, and not that many of the ones you're going to want to use are going to have that sort of monetization on them. So, but some advertiser pays for that, you know, pays a fraction of a cent every time somebody watches that ad, even the first 4 seconds of it or whatever, to the creator of the video. But most of the ones that you're going to use are not going to have that in them.
So Dave, all these things are only done if you use a page rather than just inserting the video through the module.
Correct.
Okay.
That's why whenever I put a video into a Canvas course, I embed it in a page rather than just linking it to a module. That assumes, of course, that I can get the embed code. But not all video sites offer an embed code. And in that case, your only option will be to either link it into a module or link it into or create a link like this one in a page. Where did I put that? There it is, this link right here. In that event, you won't have any other options. And unfortunately, one of the sites that does not provide an embed code is the Zoom Cloud. One of the types of video that you are most likely to want to provide access to through your Canvas course are your Zoom recordings. And if you record directly to the Zoom Cloud, as is the default with the Confer Zoom accounts, when the video goes to the Zoom Cloud, you can get a link, a URL, but you can't get an embed code. For instance, if your Zoom recordings, if you have any in the cloud, can be accessed through zoom.us, the Zoom corporate website, you sign in using your Confer Zoom credentials, email and password. And if you go, that takes you into your account management screens at Zoom. And those Confer Zoom accounts are just regular Zoom Pro accounts. They're just paid for by and managed by the State Chancellor's Office, or more specifically by the Tech Connect folks over at Palomar College. But they're managed the same way by going to zoom.us and logging in. And you can go to the recordings link over here on the left-hand side of the Zoom management screens. And here you'll find a list of all the Zoom recordings that you've sent to the Zoom Cloud. And you can access any of them just by clicking on the link to it and clicking on this icon and then playing it. And up it goes. We're now recording. And welcome. And that was one of my one of my Zoom sessions I did some time ago that I recorded to the cloud more as a test than anything else, because for reasons I'll describe in a minute, I prefer to put mine on YouTube. You've got the but you do have good captions, automatic captions, as good as the ones on YouTube, at least. They're editable. And you have a transcript available as you do on YouTube. But there's no embed code. If I drop back a screen here, back a tab, there is a shareable link. That you can get, copy to your clipboard. And let me check that. Sometimes this gets some other junk other than the actual URL. No, that's what you want. I was just checking that. Because if you go further back here, if you go to the share button here associated with the video, you have another option to copy sharing information to your clipboard. And if you use that, and let's look at that in a text editor here. If I paste that, you don't get just the URL. You get all this other information as well. If you try pasting that into the URL box on Canvas, it goes bananas. Bad things happen. Doesn't do any permanent harm, but it looks like Canvas has lost its mind. And thinking that that's not possible, you may think you've lost your mind. Ask me how I know that. That's how I found that out. So if you're gonna get the, when you're getting that URL, don't get it from here. Go to the video and get it from here where it says copy shareable link. But you'll notice there's no option for an embed code. So the only way you can share these Zoom recordings with your students, which works perfectly fine, but it eliminates all these, well, let me save this since we've been doing all that work on it. The only way you can link a video in for your students is to create an external URL in a module, or create a page and just create a simple link to the video. You can't do that neat embed. And you just add an external URL, put it in, paste that in, just the URL, give it a name. This is video from Zoom Cloud, just so I remember what I did here. And in this case, it is absolutely imperative that you click the load in a new tab button. Otherwise, it doesn't work. It won't play at all. Found that out the hard way. Add that item. Now a student can click here, open a new window, and the Zoom video will play just fine. So that's one reason. The lack of an embed option is one reason I'm not as enamored of the Zoom Cloud as I might otherwise be.
Dave?
Another reason, yes.
If you download the Zoom meetings to your computer instead of letting them go to the cloud, is that true then too?
That's exactly where I'm going in just a second.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. So you can't embed the video neatly in a page and make it look sexier for your students. So I learned a long time ago, if I wanted a video to look sexy, I had to make sure I wasn't in it. But you're limited to those basic links. And not only that, but you'll notice that there's no little wheel icon down here like we had in YouTube. You get 1 degree of sharpness, 1 degree of resolution for this, which is kind of a medium one. And I've noticed in some Zoom recordings, like the Zoom recordings of these meetings, or these sessions we're doing, where I'm showing you screens with relatively small text in them and so on, that gets a little fuzzy when I play it from the Zoom cloud sometimes. You don't get the potential resolution is lower on the Zoom, coming from the Zoom cloud, than it is from YouTube. So that's another reason to put it on YouTube that I find that makes me want to put it on YouTube. Third reason is that you have only 1 gigabyte of storage space in your Zoom cloud, in your personal Zoom cloud with a Confer Zoom account. And 1 gigabyte, I mean 1,000 megabytes is a lot of space, but videos are big, particularly Zoom recordings are big. And the Zoom recording for this session will be well over 100 megabytes, which is 1/10 of 1 gigabyte, which means I can put maybe 10 of these up there before I run out of room. And you, as you go through the years and you generate more and more Zoom recordings that you probably have lasting value that you want to keep and use, sooner or later you're going to run out of space in the Zoom cloud and you're going to have to remove some of the old ones. You can download them and back them up so that you don't lose them, but you're not going to have them accessible to your students anymore unless you put them somewhere else, like YouTube. And my thought is, well, if I'm eventually going to have to download it and put it in somewhere else, why don't I just put it somewhere else to start with? So my preference, and this is only it's a personal preference, I'm not saying that this is something you should do, but my personal preference is to record your Zoom meetings to the local computer. Instead of to the Zoom cloud. And your accounts have that capability. It just may not be turned on. When I hit my record button, which I can't do right now because I'm recording, if I mess with this, I'll lose my recording or interrupt it at the very least. But when I click on the little Zoom record button down here when I'm starting a meeting, I get an option to record either to the cloud, the Zoom cloud, or to my local computer. And it pops up a little menu, and I get the option to pick either one. You may not be seeing this. And if you're using a Confer Zoom account, you probably aren't seeing that unless you've made the change I'm about to show you in your Zoom settings. Because the default behavior for a Confer Zoom account is to record to the Zoom cloud, because it's simpler. But in order to make that at least make the local recording at least an option, you again go to the Zoom website, zoom.us, and log in and go to settings. This is where you control how your Zoom account behaves. It's worth looking at these anyway. You might find useful things in here. You will find lots of useful things in here. But what I'm looking for right now is under recording options. The default display is the options for your meeting, live meeting. But you also have options for recording. If you click on that tab, the top setting is local recording. And at least early on, with the Confer Zoom accounts, this was turned off because they were, trying to make things as simple as possible rather than giving you too many options, which I can understand. But you can go to this setting and turn local recording on. On is blue. Just by clicking on that. Then you will have the option, and there's no save or anything like that at the bottom of the screen. You just turn it on and it takes effect. Sometimes it takes a little while for that to take effect because Zoom uses this, they have these distributed servers worldwide now that it takes a little while for changes to your meeting settings sometimes to take effect. But within a few hours at least, you'll now have the option to record to your local computer. When you
Before you leave,
yes.
Dr. Dave, before you leave Zoom, I have a question about it, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
Okay. There is, every time I want to meet with my students, I have a new number for them. How can I have the same number for the whole
number every time?
Yes.
Recurring.
Under the meeting, well, yeah, but then you're locked into that recurring schedule. The sure thing
meeting place
is to use what's called your personal meeting room.
Yeah.
And that you get to if you go to the meetings link here.
Can you walk me through it, please?
Pardon?
Can you walk me through it?
Yeah, exactly. You go to meetings.
Okay.
The meetings link in your Zoom screen, your account screens, which you access at zoom.us.
Okay.
And we do have a tutorial for this as well. And across the top here, you see upcoming meetings, previous meetings. These are meetings that were scheduled.
Right.
Personal meeting room is what you want.
Okay.
Your personal meeting room has an unchanging meeting ID and join link. They don't change. If I click on that, this is my invite. This is my link that I've customized. Normally, it'll just have a number out here. And here's my meeting ID, and that never changes for my personal meeting room.
Okay. How the
if you
students
use
can
your
go to
personal,
the same?
I'm sorry?
How the students go to the same and open Zoom?
No.
You provide them one way or another. You provide them with this link. Either
and they just
through
need
a
it
link
once.
Just once. And that will be good for all. You notice that every time Mary sends out an announcement about the week's Zoom sessions that I'm doing, this URL is listed in the email.
Yeah.
And it never changes. And you always click on that and you always come in and we're all together. Zooms, yes, please.
If you have a recurring meeting that you've set up and you want to extend that, can you edit what your meeting already is, or do you have to start it again and then?
No, you can edit your recurring meeting.
Okay.
But the one way I've seen Zoom fail badly over the years is a situation which I suspect you may have run into from your question, where you end up in one meeting room and your students end up in another.
Oh yeah, I did.
I see a lot of people nodding their heads and smiling and,
yes.
and baring their teeth and things like that. Yes, that happens. This is the one way I've found to almost completely eliminate that possibility. I use my personal meeting room for everything, and I insist on it, because I don't want people to be closed out of a session because they don't have the current link or the current meeting ID. And if you schedule meetings, each new meeting has a different meeting ID and a different join link, unless you tell Zoom not to do that. And there's if you go to you do have some control over that at least. If you go to settings in your Zoom account and scroll down, it's very close to the top, the settings list, under meeting settings, which is the default. There are two options you can set here. There's enable personal meeting ID.
Okay.
And you want to turn that on. Actually, 3 settings, I'm sorry. Use personal meeting ID when scheduling a meeting. Turn that on. And use personal meeting ID when starting an instant meeting. In other words, those 2 options cover all possibilities of starting a Zoom meeting.
Oh,
Almost
great.
all. So if you set those 3 to on, you will always use your personal meeting room ID. If a student has a link from a month ago and you hold a Zoom meeting today, it'll still be the same link, so they can get in.
How about if I receive next semester new students? What to do?
Well, if you just set these and then provide that link to your students, either through an email or more likely through a link, an external URL in Canvas, they will go to the right meeting room automatically. There is one. Yes, Kathy. Mm-hmm.
I said it's also helpful if you have that go from different sections. Like you say you missed class, but you can come to my other section. It's the same meeting place, so they're not going to be different place. So it's great.
Everybody, well, that is a possible disadvantage. Everybody uses the same meeting place, so you might get a student from a different section wandering into a Zoom meeting. But I've never found that.
But isn't it illegal to do that too? Because they have different IDs, different section for the subject.
It rarely happens, and I can't imagine that being a serious FERPA violation. Students, it's the equivalent of a student walking down the hallway and looking through the door while they're walking down the hallway and seeing their friend in this other class. It's just not a big deal. And in my view, and it rarely happens. Students generally don't jump into meetings that they don't have to, so you don't really have to worry about that. Yes.
How about from college to college?
I wouldn't worry about it.
Could you mention again the name of the 3 things? Enable personal.
They are enable personal meeting ID on. Use personal meeting ID when scheduling a meeting on, and use personal meeting ID when starting an instant meeting. And Ardith, I see your hand up. I'm coming to you.
On my phone, I have a different meeting ID.
If you set these 3, as I've said, and log out and log back into the phone, it will use the same meeting ID then. Because no matter how you start a meeting, it will use your personal meeting ID with one exception. There is an exception to that. And that is using the Confer Zoom app in Canvas. The Confer Zoom app in Canvas has been set to ignore these settings and use a different meeting ID each time.
That's what we are doing. That's what I'm using.
Yeah, and that infuriates me, quite frankly. I understand the reason why they're doing it. Using your personal meeting ID every time in Zoom makes it a little bit more likely that you're going to get Zoom bombed. You have somebody come into your meeting who's not supposed to be there and be disruptive. But you know how many Zoom meetings I do every week. A number of you are in most of them. You know how often I do this. And I have been Zoom bombed, and my meeting ID is sent out to the entire faculty and everybody at the district multiple times a week. So it's horrendously public. And I've been Zoom bombed.
So not to use the Canvas for the Zoom Confer?
Well, yeah, I don't use that Confer Zoom app for that reason, because I insist on using my personal meeting room. This is a decision you would have to make, but you can't effectively use your personal meeting ID if you use that Confer Zoom app, which is why I cordially detest it.
How to get out of it?
Just don't use it. Just don't use it.
I know.
Link, provide your personal meeting room link in a, there's a couple of ways you can do that in Canvas. And since that's a little bit outside the scope of this meeting, I'll do that when I get to the general questions. But I see a couple of hands here. Elizabeth first was first, I think.
Okay, so if you use your personal meeting room, if you enable the waiting room, will that help you?
That will help.
Yeah.
That will help. The waiting room is a useful tool where you have to either en masse or one at a time, you can have people go into like a vestibule where they can't see or hear anything from the meeting, and then you have to let them in. I don't use that because, as you've seen here, people wander in and out of my meetings out of my sessions all the time, and I don't want to put any roadblocks in their way. The last thing I want to do is discourage people from attending one of these. So I don't use that, but it is a useful tool in that regard. Also, there are lots of, if you're a well-trained host in Zoom, there are lots of things you can do to shut down a disruptive attendee almost immediately. The one time I was Zoom bombed, at first I didn't know what was happening until I saw the person's name up there. It was literally Dr. Hanky Panky attended one of my Zoom meetings one time. And I realized what was happening. It took me about 20 seconds the first time to get them out. And you can throw them out and they can't come back in. And there are lots of things you can do to immediately shut down any opportunity they have for disruption. And we have a tutorial for that. If you go to our on-demand website and type Zoom bombing, there it is, that's been searched for recently. Okay. We have a, I did an entire session not too long ago, about an hour session on enhancing Zoom meeting security. But this is, I think, a 5 or 6 minute video that shows you what to do in case somebody does invade your meeting and become disruptive. And there are some very simple things you can do to just shut them down very quickly before they can do things like share disgusting images or speak, shout racist slogans or just be generally disruptive, draw ugly pictures on your screen. You can shut them down almost immediately on that, and then you can throw them. You can find out who's doing it and throw them out.
Too many questions.
Diffusing a Zoom bombing is what I call it. And it's just not. It's very rare. It's happened to me once with all the Zoom meetings I do. It's happened to me one time, and it was no big deal to get rid of the person. So it's much more likely, I think, that some students are not going to get into the right Zoom meeting than it is that it's going to be disrupted by a Zoom bombing. And and them not attending a meeting is likely to have a far more deleterious effect on their education than seeing somebody draw some unmentionable part of anatomy on the screen or something like that. It's probably not going to scar them for life. Yes, Carol.
Oh, just quick. Just before all this discussion, you were on settings and recording options, and then somehow I missed one step. I don't know what it was.
Recording options. That's under this link in your Zoom settings page. So you go to settings, recording.
I see recording at the top, right?
Recording at the top. And then the very first option, local recording, is the one that you want to turn on if you want to have the option to record to your local computer.
Okay.
And this is actually what I'd planned to do in this meeting at this point, so we're sort of back on track here. Then, if you record to your local computer, you're going to have to manually upload your Zoom meeting to YouTube or some other site, but YouTube is the obvious choice. YouTube works like a charm. It will swallow I've put 5.5-hour videos on YouTube, and YouTube has said, okay. Took it a while. It wasn't ready till the next day, but it worked fine. It's still up there and people are playing it. Not all the way through, I trust, but they're playing some parts of it. And the YouTube is extremely robust, so it's probably the only place I'd put a 5.5-hour video and expect it to work for people. And all you have to do, and this is, again, we have a separate session that we do this in, but just very briefly, when you go to YouTube, you have to log, if you're going to put videos onto YouTube, put your own videos onto YouTube, you have to have a YouTube account. If you have a Google account, like if you use Gmail or Google Docs, you already have a YouTube account. The YouTube account is just your Google account. It's the same credentials. And let me log out here and show you what that looks like when you come in. When you come into YouTube, I have to tell it, yeah, I really don't want to log out. There'll be this sign in button up here in the upper right. If you haven't logged into YouTube before, click sign in, and you'll be prompted to enter, you'll get this prompt, where you'll be prompted to sign in with your email and your password that's associated with your Gmail or your Google Docs account. If you don't have an account, if you never used anything from Google, you can create a Google account right here. It's a very simple process. But probably most of you already have Google accounts. It's hard to avoid these days. It's like avoiding taxes or something. And so you log in, and I'm just going to use my standard account.
Dave, are you on screen share? Because I'm not seeing your screen.
Yeah.
Am I? Oh, yes, I am. Thanks for asking.
But what do you think I'm doing wrong? I don't see your screen.
Oh, look down at the bottom of your screen, and there's probably a little zoom icon down there. You've probably minimized it.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's down in your taskbar, and you should be able to bring it back. Thanks for asking. By the way, I'm always appreciative if I'm talking about something and you're thinking to yourself, what the hell is he talking about? I can't see anything. Please let me know, would you? I certainly don't, that certainly doesn't bother me. I really appreciate it, because I've certainly, as many times as I've used Zoom, sometimes I'll just forget that I haven't shared my screen. And that can happen to any of us. So thank you for asking about that.
Sure.
And of course, also, I don't want you to be left at sea either. But anyway, I'm logged back into YouTube here. And all I have to do to upload a video is click create here. This little camera icon, and upload video.
Okay, because your arrow isn't pointing to what you said. Where is
Oh
that
boy,
icon?
that's Zoom is not keeping up with it then. That's unfortunate. Sometimes that happens. I think most people are probably seeing it, but sometimes it freezes on a particular device.
Where is it? Where is it?
Okay, my cursor is toward the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Let me highlight it a little bit. There's an option in Zoom where I can spotlight that cursor. Annotate, spotlight.
If you're seeing pictures of us, you might need to move us over.
I did.
Okay. Because that's what I had to do.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, and also, I know what was happening. I forgot to do that. I am so sorry, because there's a video window over here and I was underneath it. Sorry, that's why I usually do like a 4/5 screen, and I forgot that time. I'm sorry. But now, you see the highlight? Now it's a little easier to see my cursor. And then here's the create button.
Okay, got it.
Sometimes it says create, sometimes you just have the little icon, little camera icon. If you click on that and select Upload Video, you could just get led by the hand through this process. You click on Select Files. You find your Zoom recording or whatever you want to upload to YouTube. Your Zoom recording will be under Documents, either on your Finder or in your File Explorer, like here on a PC. And there will be a Zoom folder. You open that, and these are all Zoom sessions I've done over the last couple of years on this computer. So you hopefully won't have that many anytime soon. But here's the one I'm doing right now. I can tell that because 6/2/2020 is today, and it started right at 2 o'clock. But here's yesterday's, for instance, which I haven't uploaded yet, so I can show you this live. I can open that subfolder by double-clicking on it, and here's my Zoom recording. It's always named the same thing, Zoom _ and a number, usually 0.mp4, or just Zoom _0. You may not have your file extensions showing, that's optional. But Zoom _0 is your Zoom recording for your entire session. If Zoom _0 is the only thing there, that's the entire session. You just select that and click Open, and the upload process begins. You're taken to this details screen and asked to provide a title. Let me think, what did I do yesterday? Canvas overview. And yesterday was, I've done so many of these, I like to date them, 6/2/6/1/2020. And you see it's uploading the video. That's going to take a while because that's a huge video. But I can get everything ready to go. I may, if it's the first time I've done this, I'll have to assure YouTube that no, this is not made for kids. If you say, yes, it is made for kids, there's a bunch of hoops to jump through to convince YouTube that you're not a pedophile or a market, or even worse, a marketer, you know, trying to sell children something that will harm them or something. So, and by kids, they mean somebody under 13. So your videos are not going to be meant for somebody under 13 unless you have a prodigy in your class, in which case you're very fortunate, and then you may have some splaining to do. But probably not. So you have to tell them that. It will remember that after the first time. You don't have to tell it that every time. So you put in the title. Optionally, you can put in a description that gives more information about the video than the title, but you don't have to. Then you click Next. So put in a title, click Next. This video elements page, I ignore. There are some interesting things you can do here, and you may want to play with it at some point, but you don't have to do anything here, and I don't, because I put up too many to worry about trivia like this. Then Next. And I do have to tell YouTube the level of visibility I want the video to have. You will never use private. That's way too restrictive. That's something you use for your baby movies, for your family. And they have to have YouTube accounts, and they have to log into YouTube in order to see them. And you have to list them one at a time. These are the people who can view this video. That's very restrictive. That's not practical for an instructional situation. So you're going to pick either unlisted or public. If the public means it can be searched for, and it might pop up in those suggested videos for somebody else. It also means, of course, that anybody can play it. That's fine if it's something of general interest that you don't mind sharing with the world. But remember, you are literally sharing this with the world in this case. People will see this video in Timbuktu, literally, and or could. So when I post something that's of general interest that doesn't have any confidential information in it, like students' names, for instance, I often make it public because the strangest things will interest people. But more often than not, you're probably going to pick unlisted. And unlisted means anybody can play it, but they have to have the link. They have to have the URL. And that means you have to provide it to them, because nobody can guess YouTube URLs. They're hash encoded. They're meaningless strings of numbers and letters. So the only way somebody is going to get that is if you give it to them. So either by putting it in a link in Canvas or emailing it to them or whatever. So unlisted or public, you pick. And you can even schedule a date upon which you want to make it public if you decide to. I never use that. I don't know. Anyway, once you've made that choice, you just click publish and wait. If it's a short video, it will upload and be processed by YouTube and made ready to share almost immediately. This video is going to take an hour or two at least before it's going to be ready. So I'm just going to close this and move on. But eventually it will appear in my channel videos in YouTube, to which I am taken when I close that window automatically. And these are all the videos I have on YouTube. Well, these are the first 30 or so. I have something over 600 videos on YouTube at this point in time because I use it a lot. And it's all completely free. There's no limit to the number of videos you can put up here. There's no limit to how long they can be that I've ever found. And you can be absolutely certain that they'll be there tomorrow, or as certain as you can ever be of anything on the internet. If Google and YouTube vanish, something truly awful has happened, and we're going to have lots worse things to worry about than where our videos went. It's going to be more like the cannibals are coming for us or not. So I don't worry about YouTube. I worry a little bit about Zoom sometimes because they're a much smaller company. Yes, Dee Dee.
Dave, I was wondering, I was always afraid of downloading it on my computer because I didn't know how much space it would take. And it looks like you've saved a lot of videos on your computer.
Yeah, well, most modern computers this computer has I think a 2 terabyte drive on it. And this video I just uploaded is, let me look, see how big that is. This is, yeah, that's the one. It is half a gigabyte.
Yeah, I have no idea what that means.
A terabyte is 1,000 gigabytes. So I could put 2,000 videos that size on this computer before I ran out of disk space, not allowing for other stuff. And I'm not going to live that long, quite frankly. So I don't worry about it. You can always, if you're on a PC, it's very easy to tell how much disk space you have left. You just go to your file explorer and go to the left pane here and go to the drive labeled C:. Usually it's called OS for operating system drive. Click on that. That's usually, unless you have a complex multiple drives in your system, that's where all your stuff goes. And if you just right click on that and select properties, it will tell you. The blue is what I've used. It's a tiny fraction. And you saw how many videos I had on there. But this is a 2 terabyte drive. Yours may not be. This will also tell you how big your drive is and how much you've used, space you've used, and how much you've got left. So you can easily tell. And you can always offload these videos to like an external USB drive too, at need. But chances are you'll never need to. Modern computers, if your desktop or laptop's been bought in the last 2 or 3 years, they've got so much storage on them that the machine will die or become unusable because it's too old before you fill it up, probably.
It says 464 gigabytes. I never knew what that meant, so thank you for explaining.
That's about 400,000 megabytes.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
That's a lot. But just look at this. If you're getting close to, you don't want to let this get below about 10 to 20% of free space. then you might think about loading some stuff off onto you can buy a 2 terabyte external drive for less than $100 now, and copy all that stuff off overnight one night and then delete a lot of it from your hard drive. I just don't bother because, like I say, I'll never live long enough. This thing will break before it fills up the hard drive. And I do a lot of video, as you can see. So that's usually not much of a problem. Great question, though. Thank you.
Dave?
Yes.
Was that me?
Pamela? If you chose unlisted as opposed to public,
right.
I could see why I might want to delay when it goes on so that I could check the captioning before I would let it go out. Does that happen unlisted or only on
No,
public?
I don't think you have that option for unlisted. I think it becomes available immediately.
Okay.
Let me think, is there any way for you to shut that down?
So you would want to do the Zoom, right? Go through the Zoom like you showed us yesterday and do all the editing there first. Because I have mine recorded to the cloud.
Right.
So I can edit them, right?
Right. But realize that if you're using the Confer Zoom app, or if you have that active in your course, your students can go to the recordings tab in the Confer Zoom app and see those recordings as soon as they become available. And you can't stop it.
Oh, well, I tried to actually share my links, and they needed my Outlook web address because anyway. It shows up in my Outlook account,
But they can always go to, I got to log out as me and log in as mini me here.
Because I haven't fixed mine
anyway,
yet.
if I go into one of these courses and I go to the Confer Zoom app,
okay.
which, I've hidden in this one because I don't generally use it. Let me see if I can find one where I haven't hidden it. There it is. If I go to my Confer Zoom app, and the students can go to this too. They can't schedule and launch and things, but they can go to event recordings.
Okay.
And find my recordings here. So
okay. The ones I've already done have so many things I got to fix, but I understand now I can just go to my Zoom account and I can edit like you just showed us today. I can edit that.
I wouldn't worry seriously about that. I'll admit something, even though I'm recording here, is I rarely edit captions.
I have a lot of mistakes on mine though.
Because they're 2 to 4 hours long. And editing those captions, even if the captions are essentially correct, which they always are.
Yeah, mine are.
The captioning in the Zoom cloud's very good. Even if it can take me 4 to 5 hours to edit them. And I just don't see it. It's not scalable. It's not sustainable. And the captions as they are good enough for a hearing impaired student. They're not as clean as I would like them, but they're good enough. And it's just impossible to keep up with that. As many Zoom meetings as I do, it would be impossible to keep up with that, to edit all of that. For shorter videos, yes. That's another matter. Like videos of 5 minutes or less. It doesn't take very long to clean up the captions. But a Zoom cloud recording, no way.
Dave, did you say students?
Yes.
You said students have access to these videos? I thought if you have a personal meeting place, if you have a personal meeting room, you have to, usually when I get an email, it says that, do you want this to be available to everyone or just to you? And I didn't know it was immediately available to students.
Huh. It's been so long since I've done that, I'm not absolutely certain about that. Probably the email is correct.
Okay.
That you have to okay it. Yeah.
Because there is an activity where I would like for them to see their own videos, but I don't want the whole, 2 hours of the class, 30 minutes that they were all talking. So will you have time to show how to edit and closed caption, or are we running out of time?
To show you how to edit, and you mean?
Yeah, where that is, because it's will be real easy. I know you're showing us how to do it the long way, but you have something that's real short to how to edit.
Oh, in YouTube?
Yes.
Yeah, I can show you where it is.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
If we go back to YouTube, and I'm in question mode now. We've pretty much covered everything I intended to, though I'll certainly answer any questions that you have. But essentially, you know all there is to know about putting video into Canvas, or everything I know about putting video into Canvas anyway. You got those options that I showed you, and you've seen the advantages and disadvantages of each. So let's go and look at YouTube, and how can you edit one of these videos? Well, you go to the video in your video list. If you're not dropped here after uploading a video, you can always get to this by logging in to YouTube as yourself. From the home screen, or the opening screen of YouTube, you click on yourself up here. There'll either be a picture of you if you've uploaded a profile picture to your Google account, or there'll just be a little silhouette, but it'll work the same way either way. You just click on that and go to YouTube Studio, which is your video manager of your own videos that you've uploaded to YouTube. If you click on that, you go to a so-called dashboard that tells you things about your channel, like how many people have subscribed to it and things like that, and how many views you've had and how much time people have spent and so on. But what you're usually more interested in is your video list, which is the second option in this menu on the left. And you go to that video page where we were a minute ago. And if you want to edit a video, you just go to the video itself, to the detail page for that video. And here's the YouTube editor. I will tell you, it is very limited. Basically, the only thing I've been able to get it to do is trim the video, which is to remove some of the video at the beginning and or the end, where you were just shooting the bull when you were starting and you didn't want that in the video. You can cut that out. And at the end, if you're just having a conversation with someone, there's no need to include that. You can go to trim, and you've got this blue rectangle. And if you pull the ends of the rectangle in, you can eliminate a certain portion of the video, and you can see what you're eliminating by playing the video out to that point.
Hi, Margaret. This is Dave. Yeah, you should be able to assign one student manually to a breakout room and leave everyone else behind in the main room. You should be able to just go to your breakout rooms and select.
Let me think. How do you get your playback cursor out to here? Edit, trim. Does look like they've added a few new features to this. I may need to take a look at it again. Let's see. I can magnify this, but where do I get? There's my playback cursor right there. Bring that out there and play, and I can see where it ends.
Okay.
Up here, and then I can do the same thing at the beginning as well, and then I can preview what I've done. But this thing, quite frankly, is so cranky and so limited in its capability that I spend very little time with it. I have two other suggestions for you if you want to do more precise or more functional video editing. One would be if you're making screencasts, the editor in Screencast-O-Matic is excellent. Actually, it's a much better version of this sort of thing. But that's really only for screencasts that you create on Screencast-O-Matic. When I want to edit something, I use Camtasia, which unfortunately costs $170. To an educator, it's a $300 and some program for commercial use, but for education use, it's $170. And that's what I use when I edit. Otherwise, but I rarely bother. Unless something truly confidential or something really embarrassing happens in a meeting, I don't bother. Because it takes too much time. Mm-hmm.
But if we're getting that certificate, we do have to do some editing in YouTube. Isn't that the...
No, all you have to do is edit the captions. Oh, that was your question. I apologize.
No, I asked for both. I did ask for both.
Okay, well, there's one answer.
Okay. Part one.
Now, how can we edit the captions? To do that, we go to the same page. Let me go back to the channel videos again. I'm going to discard those changes to that. I go back to my video list, and I just pick the video whose captions I want to edit.
Okay.
That one's 3 hours long. I probably don't want to do that. Let's see. Let me find one that's not personal to a particular student, to a particular faculty member, but is not too long. How about this one? What's that? Yeah, this shows how to create a question bank from a Canvas quiz, which is on our on-demand site. But if I click there, I go to the video details page for the video, and I go to the subtitles link in this menu on the left. Subtitles captions are more or less the same thing. There is a technical distinction between the two, but what they mean here are the captions that you're talking about. If I click on, and I don't know why they don't use consistent terminology, but there you go. I have apparently already edited these once. Let me show you one where I haven't edited them already because it looks a little different. Be a better example. Let's try this one. This shows students how to check their grades and get their feedback in Canvas, which is an appalling number of students don't know how to do. So this is a useful video. This is on that on-demand site. If you type student grades in the search box, you can pull it up and give your students the link to it. If somebody comes to you and says, you said you left comments for me when you graded my assignment, but I never saw them.
They thought you would email it to them.
Yeah. This video shows them how to find those comments. But anyway, I can go to subtitles once again, and this is what I've edited this one too. Normally what you will see is this line with this little add button at the end of it. Just leave that alone. That's if you have captions in a file on your hard drive or something. You won't. Ignore that. Then you'll have an English automatic caption line, and that's the one you want. You go to the little menu, options menu here, and you select edit on Classic Studio. Don't worry about what that means. Just edit is all you care about. Edit the captions. Click that. A little preview window of the video comes up, and there's an edit button. You click edit, and your captions appear over here in text boxes. Then you just play a little bit of the video and watch the captions and listen.
Checking your grades and grade feedback as a student in Canvas. You'll just go to the home.
It's perfect, except there's no capital letter at the beginning of the sentence, and there's no period at the end, which makes it a bit more readable, but otherwise it was perfect. And then I'd need a capital there.
Checking your grades and grade feedback as a student in Canvas. You'll just go to the home page of your course and then click in the course menu on the link labeled Grades.
Perfect. Except actually, it's not perfect syntax. I try to speak in complete sentences. They're not run on, but I fail most of the time. But it's what I said. I just keep playing.
This will show you a list of all the graded items in your course and the ones which you have submitted and been graded for, or should have submitted and are missing. You can select.
Boy, that was a hell of a run-on sentence. There's a period in here somewhere.
And you could have taken the, so like you would go and maybe, let's say, take the out. So that would be considered good editing, like adding the capital words and adding periods, or taking out the ums. Is that what they want by editing?
Well, no, the ums you can't take out. They'll still be in the, you can take them out of the captions, but they'll still be in the soundtrack. To take the ums out, you have to have a much more sophisticated editor. Camtasia will do that for you. But yeah, it helps to put the, and in that assignment in the training course, that's what you probably all you'll be doing is putting in periods and capital letters.
And maybe a title page. Would that count?
Pardon?
Would a title page also count? Like a title page of the video that you edit?
No, all we're interested in is the captions in that assignment. And we can tell if you edited the captions or not.
Okay.
There's a tell.
And it's on that left side.
Yeah. So.
Then do you have to save it after you, like the ones you've just done? Do you have to save it?
Once you finish the editing, you publish edits, and that saves them.
Oh, thank you.
And those were perfectly reasonable edits. Overwrite existing subtitles, yeah, and put the new ones in there. So that's all there is to editing captions in YouTube. And on a 1 to 2 minute video, it should take you less than 5 minutes to edit them. Okay. And it may take less than that because YouTube is so good. The speech recognition in YouTube is amazing. So, particularly considering all the processing that video's been through to get here, it's just phenomenal. And if you speak clearly and not too rapidly and distinctly, the chances are really good that it'll get every word, even technical terms. It usually gets. So they've really worked on this. These automatic captions used to be kind of humorous. They were so inaccurate and occasionally obscene.
Oh yeah.
Whoa, I'm pretty sure I didn't say that. But
yeah, and the word beach come out as a very bad word that you use for women and dogs.
That's the one. I've seen that in my captions years ago. But they've gotten phenomenally better over the last few years.
Hawaii has
this technology has gone so far. Yeah, it's still not perfect, but it's adequate. So,
thank you.
That answered that question. How about let me look in my? I did promise that I would go to the chat tool and get those questions. So let me go get those now. Do we have a Zoom ID if someone wants to join? Darn it. Yes, we did. I'm sorry. I didn't see that in time. Let's see, I think you all can you all see this box that just popped up here?
Yes.
I'm never quite certain. Okay, good. There's a setting in Zoom that you can change to allow it to show its own screens to people. I just found it recently. But if you change it, sometimes it seems to work and sometimes it doesn't. So I always have to ask. But anyway, there's my meeting ID, and that's the one I always use, 391-499-5946. And here's my invite link, but you have that in the email from Mary. And you're perfectly welcome to give that to anybody who wants it.
If you call the Zoom help desk, you have to give that meeting ID.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes. If you're, and that's the meeting ID, and that's always my meeting ID. And despite the fact I always use that, I almost never have any problems with it. So I'm unimpressed by all the fuss that made the news right after we all started working from home about how people were breaking into Zoom meetings and ruining the lives of children by showing them these horrible images and so on. I'm thinking, well, why were you running a Zoom meeting if you didn't know how to shut that down? I mean, anybody who's done 2 Zoom meetings knows how to do that. And excuse me, I'll get down off the soapbox now.
Hey,
okay.
I want to say something.
Yes.
It's not negative. With my
oh, you're perfectly welcome to be negative if you need
well,
to.
no. I'm in CE, not college, and my dean wanted to make sure that we didn't have a student who wasn't registered. I have 7 sections to come into one of my other ones, and so that's why I set up all of mine with its own number. And I thought
that's another imperative, and I can't deny that. So
yeah,
I'm just really happy I'm not subject to that stricture.
But I thought it was kind of good because then each of my students, I set it up for the whole 10 weeks, and all my students had to do is save the link, and they'd always be on it for that class at that time.
Yeah,
so I thought I was doing my students a favor.
That's why I use my personal meeting ID, and regardless of other considerations. Yeah. Let's see, I'm moving down. Those of us who choose to teach, I won't identify anybody here, those of us who choose to teach face-to-face tend to have more personality than those who tend to choose to teach online. I would say, and I'm not looking at anybody, but I would say that's probably, it's probably true in that if we talk about people who teach online asynchronously, exclusively.
Yeah. Right.
But there's no reason, if you teach a fully online course, that you can't also lecture over Zoom. There's varying opinions among administrators, and I'm not going to get into that argument, about whether it's legal to ask a student or require a student to attend a Zoom meeting at a certain time if they're taking a fully online course, because of course one of the reasons they took the fully online course is that they wanted to have control over their schedule. So they wanted to do everything asynchronously. But whether everyone attends or not, it's still valuable to a lot of the people. And every study that's ever been done that's compared fully classroom-based education and fully asynchronous online education to blended education that combines the two has found that the blended option is better, a lot better, every time. And combining Zoom and Canvas in that way is the gold standard, as far as I'm concerned, for distance education. You've got the best of all worlds there. And you've got your personal face-to-face interaction with people. I mean, I spent a lot of years in the classroom, and I've done a lot of professional development sessions in the classroom. And I've done a lot on Zoom. And I got to tell you, this experience for me is not that different. I just throw it into gallery mode, and I can see most of you. The ones who are good enough to share their video or have a webcam. I know it's hard to get a webcam these days. But to me, this is just as fulfilling as teaching in a classroom and just as effective. And yet then I can use Canvas to provide information asynchronously, or other sites like that on-demand video site to provide information asynchronously, which is also an important part of distance education. And if you don't combine the two, you're giving away a lot of potential either way. So I think, yes, that some people much prefer asynchronous online education because they basically don't like the lecture. But I do. And I think obviously most of you do from your how interactive you are in these sessions and so on. So I think certainly that combining both of those types of experiences is best for the students. And I'll argue with that until the cows come home. Films on demand. Oh shoot, I did not show you films on demand. I did forget that. Films on demand is available in your, if you go to a Canvas, let's go back to that page I created here. So I think that I'm not even logged in as the right person here. Let me get back in as me. It was Boris Badenov there for a minute. And let me find that course we were working in. There it is. I remembered it was pink. Okay, if I go to one of these, like this video demo page we were working on here, I can find films, if you're at one of the colleges. I don't know if continuing ed has access to this or not. I'm afraid they might not. But if I edit this page and let me scroll down here to get my cursor down here below so I won't put one video on top of another. If I go to this little V symbol here in my icon bar and click on that, I can pull in files from Google Apps, like Google Docs. I can pull in files from Vimeo, or I can pull in videos from Films on Demand, which all 3 college libraries subscribe to. And what you get is just a search box, and you can search for any subject. I'm still enjoying the new one for me today, ceramics.
Yay.
Thank you for contributing that. And and click there and look, 366 high quality instructional videos dealing with ceramics. Oh, I love glass blowing. I want to take that one. And all I have to do to put that into my Canvas page is select how big I want the embed to be. Small, medium, or large. I usually go with medium. And bang, now that video is in my page. I save it. And there it is. And they can play it right from here. There are captions. They're not showing until somebody speaks, of course, but it's captioned well. There is one small drawback to finding something similar on YouTube. On YouTube, you can, if you have a student from somewhere else in the world, they can pull up captions in any one of about 48 languages. If it's on YouTube. Films on Demand had English. That's something they may want to do something about. I don't know. They probably have to license the technology from Google, but Google will provide intelligible captions in dozens of languages. So, but Films on Demand, on the other hand, the films here are really high quality, so professionally created.
Dave, are we able to, no matter, like, for instance, I remember once I wanted to show, if I was teaching at City one semester, and I wanted to show them that I always show with video. It was Films on Demand, but apparently my City students weren't able to to bring it up because they're not Mesa College students. So do they now realize that we're all one big campus?
Well, it's all one big Canvas system. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I don't want to edit that.
Okay.
Oh, I hope I saved that. Just a second. Yes, I did. Okay, if I go to student view, and I'm clearly not a Mesa student, go to student view, I think it's going to be fine, but I'm going to have to,
okay.
Oops, I didn't, except that I didn't publish that page, which is that's an instructor error. Okay, that's more like it. Now let me go, and this will test that. If my student view can see that, there should be no problem. And as far as I know, it can. Video demo page. Bing, 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 bing. Looks fine. Good question, though. I hadn't tested that myself, to tell you the truth.
Okay,
that test student ain't anywhere. The reason that works is that this course is in what we call a sub-account in Canvas that has this enabled in it. And your live shells automatically get put into the right sub-account for your institution. And then we'll have access to all the resources that your institution provides. And in this case, any of the 3 colleges, this will work.
Oh, good.
We're having a little bit of trouble with practice courses, development shells. We're having to change our instructions to the folks at Instructure to make sure that the development shells that people are working in to actually create their courses have access to the appropriate resources. And that means putting them into the right sub-account, Mesa, Miramar, or City. And they're working on that. I don't know exactly where they are with that. I will tell you this, if you start working on a development shell and you're trying to use a resource like Films on Demand that is not available in your development shell, let me know, and I can move your development shell into a sub-account where it won't make any difference to you which sub-account it's in, but it will give that development shell access to the appropriate resources. So I can fix that for you if that should become an issue. Hopefully they're going to fix it globally, and may already have. I don't know. Okay, good question.
Thank you.
Just play. You can play just a portion of Films on Demand videos. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I learn something new every time I do one of these. Where can I find Dave's videos? I want to see the one from yesterday. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, the one from yesterday is just now uploading to YouTube, so it's not up there yet. But you can find all of our...
It said it loaded. It said it finished loading. I saw it.
Oh, good. I didn't even notice that. But it's on YouTube, but it's not in this site yet. There's one more step for me, but I'll get it there. But just go to the on-demand site and go to Workshop Archives. And that's where it will be when I get them all up there. I think I'm 2 or 3 behind right now, and I need to fix that like tomorrow. But if the latest one's not up there, there's one from earlier. There are 7 pages of these, 7 dozen of these workshop archives, and they repeat. And there's multiple copies of each topic in there. And everyone's a little different. Mainly the questions are different. Sometimes I forget things. Sometimes I remember to do something extra, but usually they're pretty much consistent because I try to follow an outline. Okay, so that's where you find these videos. And boom, I'm done. Does anybody else have another question?
I do.
Good.
I'm not sure people want to hear about it. I'm trying to clean up my grade sheet. There are a few things that
Canvas grade book?
Yeah.
Okay.
But even prior to that, when my students saw my final, finished the final, they were able to go in and see how many people got what grade on the final before I
Right.
even knew it was there. So I need to know where they go, and can I turn that off until an appropriate time?
I don't know whether you can turn that off or not.
Because suppose you
so
want,
they can see statistics.
yeah,
I don't
suppose you
know.
want.
Let's look. Let's go to, let me just pick a course here. It's got a grade book. It's got some stuff in it. I don't want to show your student grades in this recording and so on, but
Right.
let me just pick something that has some simulated grades in it. There it is. Okay. I'm still using my little highlight for my cursor. Does that help when I'm sharing my screen?
It does.
Okay.
Where do you find that highlighter?
I'll try to remember to do that.
Where's the highlighter?
The highlighter is in my, let me close that and bring it over. I've got this little.
Is it in view options?
Share. I've got this little share bar while I'm sharing my screen.
Okay.
Okay. And there's an annotate button in that bar.
I see it now.
And that spotlight option is right here. And there's two options. There's like an arrow and a little spotlight. And I think I just changed it. Didn't mean to. There we go. So I can get that, and that'll keep running as long until I turn it off. I got to remember to do that. Thank you for the feedback. Okay, let's go to the grade book here. Now, well, let's show everything rather than just showing the discussions. And let me see if there's anything you can set to change that. Grade posting policy, maybe. This allows you to decide manually when students see their grades.
Well, in the grade posting policy, I didn't know.
Grade posting policy. You can set that to manually, and they won't see it until you manually post them.
But wait, manually. So I've got it set.
Basically, what you do is you come back here and you change it back to automatic, and then they show up.
So they'll be able to see all the grades without the name. They won't be able to if I put manually. They will be able to if
they
I
won't see the number. They won't see the actual grade. They'll still see the title of the assessment, but they won't see the actual grade or anything about it or any of the feedback or anything until you post it.
Okay, so we're all the grades for the other students, not just their grade.
Oh no, no, they don't ever see other students' grades.
No, okay, they saw how many people got.
Right, but they don't see any personal information.
No, but I didn't even want them to see that until I could.
And I'm not sure you can control that, but I'm looking.
Where do they go to see that?
Their grades tool.
Okay.
Curve grades, set default grade, enter grades, download submissions, grade posting policy. I don't know of a way to prevent them from seeing that information. Blackboard used to have an option like that, but this one doesn't, I don't think.
Well, so
I'm perfectly willing to be proved wrong on that, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'd love you to be proved wrong, because if they go look at that before I have a chance to even look at the grades, you see what I mean?
Yes, yes, I understand.
Then they could be horribly depressed before I get to it.
Oh,
or they could be horribly depressed before I get to it.
You mean like if you want to curve it and they've already seen their grade, so it's kind of...
Okay, so one student emailed and said, well, this test couldn't have been too good because the highest grade was da, da, da. And
right, because you hadn't finished grading part of the test yet, you know. Exactly. Let's think.
And I kept curving it, but I wish that they hadn't had access to that, because they don't need to know that. I don't ever let students know what other students are getting.
statistics.
I agree with you. Canvas has
How
too
do
many
I hide
yeah.
grade distribution scoring detail from students? This looks like it.
Okay.
Okay.
High, low, and mean scores. Settings, open course details. This may help. Hide grade distribution graphs from students. That's just the graph. I don't know if it's going to hide the numbers or not, but you can try that.
And
that is in your settings. That'd be in your settings menu.
Okay, so
course, under course details.
All right.
Scroll all the way to the bottom and go to more options.
All right.
Hide grade distribution graphs from students.
You said settings?
Settings.
Okay.
Scroll on the details page, details tab in the settings page. Scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll see more options, a link for more options, and click that and you will see hide grade distribution graphs from students. That may help. Try that.
Okay.
That's the only thing I see any mention of in Google.
Yeah, I should have thought about Google. Now, the other question, I wouldn't even know how to ask Google, so I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
So the final grade, the grade's on the final. On one, I have two courses, same course. Okay. On one course, it had the number grade on the final, and then there was a column that said imported, I wrote it down here.
Imported assignments or something?
And it
right.
was the percentage grade of the final exam. So I had one, and then, wait, and then in the other course, it had the numerical amount they got on the final, and then it had the imported assignment, and there was nothing in it. I don't even know where it came from.
Imported, an imported assignment column means that something's been imported into the Canvas course.
Okay, so when I made the final, I did it in the D shell, okay? And then after, because I was afraid of losing it. So I all over the place. So I moved it from the D shell. And I also didn't know.
That's undoubtedly why that, but there is a way to fix that and get rid of that imported assignments column.
All right.
If you go to your assignment groups, go to your assignments tool, tool in the course menu. And there may well be, and I'm just going to make it manually, but it would show up automatically. There may be an assignments group called imported.
There is imported assignments.
Assignments.
It has a percentage. That's what you're talking about. I saw that too.
Well, it doesn't. No, I'm not adding a percentage because this is not something.
No,
if you import. Yeah, but if you import an exam from one course to another, it will go into an assignment group called imported assignments.
All right.
You can take it out of there by just dragging it. There I put one in. Now I can take, let's say this discussion was imported from another course.
All right.
It will appear in this imported assignment group. I can just take it out and put it into my discussion group. And then once this is empty, I can just delete it and get rid of it. And then that column in the gradebook will vanish.
Oh.
Well, why did you put discussion?
I'm sorry?
Why did you
Because that was a discussion.
Oh, okay. So that answers my other question, I think. The other question was,
oh, that's good.
somehow I managed to get dual assignments. So I had the same assignment in the grade book, one with grades under it and one without the grades under it.
Right. The trick, you can always delete an assignment by going to the assignments tool and clicking but you want to make darn sure you delete the right one.
Yeah. And that's why I was afraid to do anything.
Yeah. Well, you can usually tell by, if like a quiz, if you go into the quiz, let me pick one that probably has some submissions here. And go to edit the quiz. If people have already taken it, you'll get this warning.
So the warning will go on.
You know not to delete that one.
Okay, so that warning won't go on even if the time of submission has passed. See what
not unless students have submitted to that one.
Okay, so if nobody has submitted, that will be there.
Yes. No, if nobody has submitted, this will not be here. If there is at least one submission, this warning will be here.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense. So
and be careful, because I did one at 3 o'clock in the morning. Not, I just wanted to see how it looked. I had one question. I just wanted to see how, because I didn't know how to do a matching. And one student just happened to be up and started.
And took it.
I couldn't figure out why.
Where's my grade?
It was only one question, and he was up. He took it, or at least he was looking around. And once a student has taken it, you can't do anything. I had to leave it there, and I had to send him an email telling him that I'm deleting you, because he was.
Or maybe I'll give you an extra points credit on the next test for being up at 1 o'clock in the morning and taking a quiz right away.
Actually, it was 3 o'clock, but yeah.
Okay, whatever, right. Oh,
that's all
my.
you need.
Yeah, well, I will say that I make it a rule never to use a delete tool after midnight and before 6 a.m.
I made mistakes that way too.
For obvious reasons, particularly one that can't be reversed.
Yeah, like the curve button. Oh, and
oh God, don't use that.
Oh, I touched. So you can change the number.
Yeah.
But you can change the number. I didn't use that thing. I figured out for myself what I wanted to do and manually.
Precisely. I really don't recommend it.
Afraid of that thing. And
yeah, if we could hide that, we would.
Oh, geez, because you could just screw them up so badly.
And there's something else we've just given back to you that I want to mention in that vein. We've just given you the reset course content button back because a lot of people wanted it.
Yeah.
So
realize that deletes your course, including all student enrollments and all grades, all submissions, and we can't get it back. So if you use that tool, if I click on that tool, I get this warning and this big red button. And if you ignore that and hit that button, everything that's in that course is gone. And we can't get it back. So a warning. I think they put an announcement, a system announcement on about that. We had so many requests for it because it's convenient to be able to take your development shell and clean it out and recopy the content from your latest shell back into that to keep it current. So that's a good pedagogy, a good process. But the very first semester we used Canvas, we had someone delete their course after students had started working in it. And that student work was just lost.
Oh.
And it's the only time we've ever lost content out of Canvas. And
so only use it for the developmental shell because there's nothing really there.
Yeah, but we can't give it just to the development shells. It's in your live shells too. And it's easy at 3 o'clock in the morning to think you're in one shell and be in another, particularly if they have the same, more or less the same content in them. And sometimes you forget you're in your live shell instead of your development shell, and you hit that button, there's not going to be a thing we can do about it. So we just got our fingers crossed.
So I considered just not cleaning up that grade book because everything's right in it. I mean, it's not like that.
If everything's right, it's not the end of the world. I will tell you this. Before you start cleaning it up, export it to an Excel file. So if the worst happens, you'll still have the data. And you can always re-enter it manually.
So if I'm going to export that final exam, no.
Well, no, you have to export the entire thing.
The whole grade book.
Right. Go to the gradebook display and go to actions.
Gradebook display, actions.
Actions.
Oh, I looked at that and I thought, what's it going to export it to?
It's going to export it to a file that can be opened in Excel.
Okay, and then the other question.
Or any spreadsheet.
Is whenever you export anything, does it leave there and export it, or does sometimes it just takes the whole thing out?
Oh no, it's just making a copy of it and exporting it. It
so
will not affect what's there in your
that was
gradebook
my
at all.
fear on that one. I have many trepidations.
Now importing can add stuff to your gradebook that you don't want. You got to be careful with that.
Right.
But export can't hurt anything.
So just click on export.
It says gradebook export started, and within a minute or so, you'll get a file save box, and you just you make a folder somewhere to hold it.
Cool. Yeah.
Or you'll remember where it is, and then it's coded so you know when it was done, and it has the so-called course code in the file name. So you can tell which course it was.
And that way you can just save the grades on your desktop or in your documents. So if
make a folder for it and put it in where you won't lose it.
And you got them.
And then you can just, if at need, you can open that up in Excel.
Uh-huh.
And here's what it looks like.
Okay, so now it's new export, June. Okay, so now it should be down there.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, it's a gradebook export. You can also export the course, but this is just the gradebook.
Right.
Because this you can open without Canvas is the point of it. You can open it without Canvas. You can even take the grades and manipulate them in Excel, which has far more capability to do that than the Canvas gradebook does.
Right.
And apply, very arcane grade computation schemes that you can design. But the main purpose behind that tool, though, is to give you a backup of your grades. And of course, at the end of each semester, it's a really good idea to back up your gradebook as the last thing. You're always going to have access to that Canvas shell, but sometimes it's more convenient to have them on your local computer and have full control over that copy of them.
Right.
We'll always have that.
Since you were talking about cleaning up the gradebook, because columns I want to either delete or close, but also I can't seem to control the students' columns because they get a little confused.
No, you can't, period. You cannot control the order in which the grades are presented to the students. They control that. If we go into student view, in Blackboard, the order in which you saw them was the order in which the students saw them. That's not true here. Though the students could change that in Blackboard. But here, it's fully under the control of the students. Right here is where the students control the order in which things are displayed in their grade list. The default is by due date. but they can display them by assignment group if they understand what that means, by module, or they can sort it alphabetically by title.
Okay,
and you have no control over that.
Because I had students saying, "Oh, it didn't show up on my to-do list." And I'm thinking, like, what in the world is that? 'Cause I've never heard of that before. And I guess, because not everything has a due date. You know, I thought I was being flexible, but apparently they like very stringent rules. And
well, they like due dates because that means it shows up in their calendar and in their to-do list automatically.
Okay.
So that's a strong motivation for creating those.
Because I guess if I set it up by modules, they would have to set it by module list. And that's how I thought.
Yes. You can't control the order they see the grades in. Period.
Okay. And I can't get rid of some of those columns either.
Some of them you can, some of them you can't. These these columns, which are assignment groups, if you have assignment groups, they're going to display in the grade book. And you have at least one assignment group. It may just be called assignments. And it's basically just a mirror of the total column in that event because it includes all assessments, but you can't get rid of it. That column's going to be there.
And the average grade doesn't, it's not really an average of their grade. I have a student thinks, "Oh, I've got a 96. Like, there's no way you're getting a 96. But it seems like it's little tiny.
That has more to do with whether you've entered zeros for unsubmitted assignments.
Yeah.
You have to do that with Canvas because otherwise, Canvas automatically disregards anything that hasn't been submitted. Yeah, even if it should have been submitted, Canvas disregards it and doesn't count it against them unless you put a 0 in manually. You can set a default grade.
Right.
But be careful. Don't do that until you're completely through grading because it will change. There may be an ungraded one there and it will change that to a 0 too. So don't set default grades until you're completely done with an assessment. But that will save you having, if you have a large number of students, that will prevent you from having to go through and enter a million zeros.
Yeah, because I always tell students that if I haven't graded it yet, it's blank. But if it's great, if you didn't do it, I'll put a 0 there because you didn't complete.
Actually, if the student has submitted it and you haven't graded it, Canvas gives them credit for like the 99% of the value of the thing.
Oh.
I didn't know that either. I ran across that a few weeks ago. Yeah. If a student submitted something, even if their submissions are all trash, if you haven't graded it yet, it can look to them like they're doing great because Canvas gives them almost full credit in the grade in the total computation. It gives them almost full credit for it.
Oh, it's even worse than I thought.
Yeah, it's worse than you thought. You gotta grade them on a time for that total, for that running total that they see, and you can't stop them from seeing it. For that running total to have any relation to reality, you have to be right up to date on grading, and you have to enter 0s for anything that wasn't submitted.
So we'll have
that's just the way it is.
So I have a question from left field, okay?
Good. Those are sometimes the most fun.
Yeah,
all right. So I'm going to ask you to be polite, I'm going to ask you from a historical perspective because I'm representing CE, okay?
I hear you.
Not to be rude or anything like that, but we follow things that are called student learning outcomes, and we have
as do everyone, yeah.
I'm just saying that's as close as we get to grading, okay? So we have 4 of them just for my class, not the department ones, but just for my class. I have 4, and so there's a rubric. You know, it's very clearly spelled out each item, and then what the rubric is: 0, didn't do it; 1, pretty lousy; 2, okay, and 3, just incredible. You know, publishable. Okay.
Right.
So so that's as close as we get to grading. So since we're talking about grading. Competency-based
grading as opposed to numeric grading, yeah. I'm familiar with the concept. I once went to the school where for a presentation where that was invented almost. So yeah.
Okay, but we still have a 0, a 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Right.
So for each fellow. Okay. So and basically what we're doing for accreditation is we're supposed to have them do an assessment at week 2, and then again at week 9. Okay. And then because we're mostly looking for improvement. You know, it's okay if they're 0, but we'd like to
value added. Indeed, it's all about value added improvement.
So
Understood.
How would that look here? Could you just say, just because I'm probably not the only one in CE, right? Where we kind of
no, lots of people in CE are everybody practically is using.
Say a little bit of how it might look.
Oh, let's think about that. Well, certainly you can enter anything in these cells.
Because I see you have points, you know, how much is this assignment worth? How much the discussions were so
But you can set that to anything.
Yeah.
If I go to that actual.
But I'd like it to go with the rubrics already set up. You know, I don't want to reinvent the wheel, right?
Right. Indeed. Yeah. Of course. But you don't even have to set that. You can leave that at 0. That doesn't stop you from entering 0, 1, 2, or 3 into the grade book. That just prevents the Canvas from trying to do a percentage calculation.
Okay.
And 0 is a perfectly acceptable number of points.
Okay.
And I'm not going to do that, but you can do that.
Okay.
I'll mess up my grade book if I do. Now, when I go back to the grade book, I can enter anything in here. Doesn't matter what the possible points are. I can even enter values bigger than the possible points if I want.
You can even put negative numbers too, Dave.
Pardon?
You can put negative numbers in too. For instance,
you can even put negative numbers in. That's right, and they will be averaged in. But again, if you're not grading per se, you're just assessing.
We're just kind of looking for did they,
You can do that. So you can put those in there and just use this basically as a recording tool.
Right, because that's what we're doing. Okay.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. You will get this total column.
Oh, which will be meaningless.
And you can't hide it or get rid of it, but you can just ignore it and tell the students to ignore it.
Okay.
Though I guess it would be valid. I mean, you would still have, you'd still get a total number for your, if they got a 1 on this one, a 2 on that one, a 0 on that one, they'd still get some sort of total number, which would have some meaning.
Right.
And you would not set this to be a percentage. You would set it to be, and I can't do that the way I have this set up.
Okay.
I have a weighting scheme in here that prevents me from setting the total column to points.
Yeah.
But you can set it, normally you can set the total column to display points instead of a percentage.
Okay, right.
Which would be, I think, appropriate.
Would I set it up like as a quiz, like we have discussions, right? We have all these would I do it like as a quiz, do you think?
No, you would probably put everything in as a no submission assignment.
Can you show me,
or for that matter, actually, you might have them submit something, but you'd probably put everything in as a homework assignment.
Okay.
Because you're just going to be manually typing in these numbers, and what you do is you just go to your assignments tool.
Okay.
And add assignment.
Right.
And you might just call this assessment 1, whatever your first.
Well, let's just call it like SLO1, SLO2, SLO3, SLO4 is probably what I would do.
There you go. Yeah. SLO1. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
and
what it
you
is.
might or might not have some instructions here that describe this, but probably.
Oh, there's plenty of instructions. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably would put those in here.
No, it came from our department. Yeah.
And you set that to 0. And for submission type,
Yeah.
you know, if it's like something they write and they turn in through Canvas, you would make it an online submission. Pardon?
Yeah. It will be written. Yes, it'll be
Okay,
Word.
so probably it's going to be an online submission.
Okay.
And probably by file upload. They're going to type it offline and upload it.
Yeah.
And you can restrict upload file types or not as you prefer. This just makes it less likely they're going to send you something you have trouble opening. But you can restrict that to like just Word documents. That's what that does.
Okay.
You can even have it reviewed for plagiarism for free, if that's appropriate. And you can set a due date.
Hey,
if that's
sometimes
appropriate.
they're drawings.
Or you can leave it blank if it's not.
You know, sometimes they're drawings. I have them do drawings.
Ah.
You know, the bowl or a face or something.
Yeah, they can submit image files, sure.
Oh, in JPEG.
And if I save that and publish it, an assignment doesn't show up in the grade book unless it's been published.
Yeah, okay.
Note, now I'll have a column for that in the grade book.
Yeah, because I need a rubric. Yeah, I got to get a rubric. I want them to know the rubric.
And you can set up a rubric too.
Mm-hmm.
That I'll show you where you can do that. But anyway, now you can just go in here and you can edit you can put in your grades or your
week 2 and week 9 usually.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can put those in.
Okay.
And if you need a rubric, you can just go back to the SLO assignment and add a rubric.
Oh, look at that.
And it's the usual criteria, rows, and ratings columns.
Right.
And you can have it as complex as you like. You can have as many criteria as you need. You can have as many levels of satisfaction of that criterion as needed.
We usually have 5 for each one.
Yeah. And you can put that right in here.
Okay.
And you can even reuse that rubric if it's universal, if it's the same thing for each activity. You can use that rubric over and over again.
No, two of them have the same, but the other 2 are different.
But you can create a separate rubric for each assignment too.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Did that answer that question?
Yeah, thank you.
Those are just some ideas off the cuff that I can think of that would allow you to make useful use of the Canvas gradebook. It's actually quite a sophisticated gradebook.
So
I'm sorry. I just have one more. I have my own needs assessment because see, normally when we're face-to-face class, people, sure they can join the first day, but they can join any time. It's open enrollment, open exit. So so I have my own sheet, and it lists step by step a whole bunch of stuff. But they're telling me what it is they're wanting to learn. You know, how come they're there?
Right. Wonderful. That's great pedagogy. That's good in any classroom. Yeah.
Yeah, and then on the last, and then plus I get to show them, well, we're going to learn this on the syllabus, see? But anyway, and then we flip it over whenever they're going to leave. They got to turn it into me before they leave, and they say, well, what did I learn that I set out to learn? What did I learn that surprised me? I didn't think I was going to learn that, right? And was my goal too easy? Was it too hard? For my next semester, because we're continuing ed, right? We go forever. And so how is thinking about my goal help me to make my next one, right? So that's like a whole separate thing that has nothing to do with the SLOs. It's just my thing. I'm trying to get them to be thinking about.
Indeed.
And now
that's wonderful.
And now my choices get me to my goals closer or farther apart. Well, got to either change my goal or I got to change my choices because it's interfering with my goal. See, so that's what I'm trying to get them to really think about what they're doing. You know.
Of course.
Yeah. So I don't know where that would fill, but I guess that would just be another assignment. That'd be like assignment the first thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You could assign them. You could attach that form as a Word document and send it to them. They fill it out and send it back to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Or you could probably, if it were truly a form-based thing, you could set up something like a Google form or a fillable PDF, and they could fill it out online and submit it to you.
Okay.
That would be, if you
well,
want to
normally
show me, if you want to send me one of those, I'll take a look at it and see if I can come up with a tool that I know that would allow you to automate that online, so that the students wouldn't have to like take a picture of it or fill it out online and then save that file and send it back to you and so on, which some of them might find
I'd be happy
challenging.
to. I'd be happy to.
Okay, great. That'd be fascinating.
All right, I have one more.
Good, good.
You might think that I'm trying to get you to break your record of being online with us, but I'm not.
You got it. You won't last that long. I'm sorry.
We're going on 3.5.
Oh, so, you're not even close.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
oh my God.
Dave, I was able to do it with one section, and between then and now, I forgot the instructions for down.
Tell me about it.
So I'm on the other one, final exam. And there are the 3 dots at the side, but is that where I'm supposed to be?
You want to...
or am I supposed to be in my grade book?
Now,
I'm
remind me again exactly what you're trying to do.
I'm downloading the grades so I can save them in a folder on my desktop.
Right. You go to the grade book.
Okay.
You have to go to the grade book.
All right. I'm...
Actions, export.
Oh, the actions up there. Okay. So much for my memory. Okay. And
there's a lot going on at one time.
You're too good. Always open files of this type. Open. Where did it open?
Fine. It should have opened in Excel.
Actually, it didn't. It opened in Google Chrome.
No, it's got a spreadsheet viewer in it. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
It saved it to the, you're on a Mac, aren't you?
I'm on a Mac.
Yep.
Okay, that's good though. They're both on my desktop right now. And so I'll just throw them in a file.
You can put them in a folder in the Finder, yeah. You know how to navigate that, I presume. I can't really help you with that. I haven't had access to a Mac for 3.5 years, so it's all gotten pretty dim for me.
So it's good. It's all good. Oh,
outstanding.
I made it.
Very well.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
You are certainly welcome.
No, just
I will have this online as soon as I can.
All right.
And I hope you all have a safe and productive week.
You too, Dave. Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care. And let me know if you have any questions. Remember, you can email me anytime.
Okay.